It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all you NHRA fans out there. Welcome back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. I'm Joe Castello, and you are still connected to the NHRA universe as we get ready for the holidays. That is so great. There's all kinds of news and things happening. They're resurfacing Gainesville. The Parade of Champions continues here on the podcast. We've got Matt Smith going to be on the show, the final of our Mellow Yellow series. World Champion's going to be on the show. Also, Brian McClanahan, Stock Eliminator World Champion, going to debrief on his championship season here in 2018. We've got that. We've got NHRA National Dragsters. Kevin McKenna going to join us on the show, his debrief on the 2018 season, perhaps some other surprises as well, so stick around. Going to be a great show. And remember, the archive is absolutely loaded. You can go back and hear all kinds of great interviews from the entire 2018 season. You can go back and listen to Steve Torrance, every single win that he got. You can listen to all of those wins here on the show. But also next week and the following week, right after New Year's, Christmas and New Year's, of course, are on Mondays. We are going to be having best of shows, but we're going to link them all together. So it's going to be mostly highlights of the season, but woven in with some current content. So you're going to want to hear those, and it has become very popular over the past 10 seasons of WFO Radio, these couple of week of flashback shows where we pick big moments, like maybe each of the champions' first win interview of the season, something like that, where you can really see the growth and development and evolution over the season. That's what we do, and thrilled to be able to document these championship seasons. And we had a lot of fun stuff that happened over the course of the year. There will be Ignition, and there will be NHRA Nitro, and there will be Best Ofs, and of course the Patreons will get something, and all that will be happening over the next couple weeks. It will not be live, though, in that we will not be connecting with Alan Reinhart. You will have something to listen to, though, when you're kind of hanging out, smoking your stogies by the Christmas tree, if that's what you choose to do. Now, this show is brought to you by some great sponsors, and it is not too late to get on board with them for your holiday pleasures, like Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. Marvin Rodak Coffee, hot sauce, spice rub, everything good, but tools and grills and everything you could possibly want for grilling. Marvin Rodak, a wonderful one-stop shop for holiday gift getting for the people that you love or the people that you want to impress. Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. HusseyPerformance.net. Copperhead gaskets, the best in the business, the most accurate, and that could be a gift to yourself. I'm always putting the gift spin on everything you know for the past couple of months. If you've waited this long, my goodness, you're worse than I am. You are, and I'll tell that story later on in my time. Like, what am I doing? The desperation time, last-second gift getting. Unreal. One thing I did not get last second, because I would never wait last second to get some catspotlitter.com. Scott Palmer, what a great year, stepping up to support WFO Radio, catspotlitter.com. Of course, if you've got a cat, you should get the subscription. And if you don't have a cat, then get Magic Dry, catspotlitter.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. Lana and Frank Hawley, been supporting WFO Radio for a long time. 2019 is the year. 2019 is the year. Just do it. Go out there, experience what it's like to go 130 mile per hour, the big block Chevrolet, sitting behind the roll cage. Just do it. Splurge on yourself. The time is now. Quit waiting around. FrankHawley.com. Samtech.edu. Not really a gift-getting spin on this one, but Brian Massengale and the team over there have done such a great job of expanding the campus increasing the courses. But most of all, they can help place you once you go through the courses. We know, and we talk about it all the time, CNC machining and engine building and machinists are very needed right now for our hobby and for our country. And you might end up working at a race shop. You might end up working at Boeing. Samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed. Also, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan. What a year Terry had. He won the U.S. Nationals, but also started motorsportsguys.com. Parts, pieces, filters, oil, Amalie Motor Oil, better than it has to be since 1903. Go to motorsportsguys.com. Check them out, and, of course, be sure to tell them you heard about it here on WFO Radio. Aerospacecomponents.com. I was hanging out at PRI with Kim and Al Cussy and talking a little bit about what they've got going on for 2019. Aerospace Components, big supporter of WFO Radio here in the 2018 season. We greatly appreciate them. Vacuum pumps, shifters, brakes, anything made of billet aluminum and beyond. They've got the titanium wave brake rotor that saves you half the weight over steel. That is mandatory if you want to go quick and fast. And plus, they perform very, very well. Pedal sets for Mustangs, all kinds of great stuff. Go to aerospacecomponents.com. And if you get something, of course, shout out to WFO Radio. Hangstifer's Metalworking Lubricants had a great time in the Hangstifer's booth at PRI. A lot of people swinging by, passing by, checking it out. Matt and Zach Sackman were over there. Matt and I went toe-to-toe in the reaction time simulator, and I lost. But I will be back. He has already granted me a rematch at some point in the future. Hangstifer's can make your job in the shop more efficient. Hangstifer's Laboratories and Hangstifer's Metalworking Lubricants. Check them out, hangstifer's.com. And audible.com/WFO Nitro to start your 30-day free trial. All you listeners out there who listen for entertainment, audible.com/WFO Nitro is something you should definitely check out. Because they have all the titles, they have all kinds of great stuff, and you're driving in the car, and you've used up the WFO archive for a couple of hours, and you're at this point, you're sick of hearing me. It happens. I know, it happens. Go to audible.com/WFO Nitro. I'm not above it. I know it happens. Audible.com/WFO Nitro, the folks that make it all possible. And again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year to you and your families. And I'll be saying this throughout the show because I am it's not Thanksgiving, but I am genuinely thankful and appreciative of all of you who listen to the show every week. And every week I don't hear from, the thousands of listeners, but I see you out there at the tracks. And you've been on the Mellow Yellow walking tour, and you've driven by in a golf cart and yelled WFO at me, or on the floor at PRI, that kind of stuff. That's how I encounter folks out there. And I say it often, but thank you, because that kind of motivation keeps the show going. We certainly are very passionate about this sport. Maybe you're a first-time listener, and you clicked on this podcast during the holidays. Somebody got you a brand-new iPhone. You downloaded the new WFO app that we relaunched here in 2018, and you're hearing this, and you're like, what is this? And know that as we get ready to get started with our final show of the 2018 season, is that we have still scratched the surface of listenership and podcast listeners in our NHRA community. There are new podcasts launching all the time, not just in drag racing, but everywhere. Podcasting is just now becoming mainstream. We're in our 10th season here on WFO Radio. It's a great story, but I'm not going to tell it now. I'm just going to say thank you so much for listening, for finding us, and please help others find us. And not just WFO, but all the NHRA and motorsports-themed podcasts that are being put out by so many great people. Don O'Neill now has a podcast. And, of course, JR and Sean have their Nomex Effect. And these people are ramping up. They want to create content. What is the greatest challenge? Is that so many people out there, they don't know how to even listen to a podcast. So you help them, okay? You help them out. Somebody that helps us out and starts us off right each week, joining us now. He is the voice of the NHRA, starts us off right each week here on the WFO Radio podcast, Alan Reinhart. Alan, we are at the brink, baby. The end of 2018 is upon us.
Yeah, where did it go? Didn't it seem like just a couple of weeks ago we were in Pomona for the Winter Nationals and then Phoenix, and now we're already talking about coming up testing in just a month or so. Christmas right around the corner. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm excited as well. And we actually, last week, you had we solicited questions from the audience, and we do have a couple, and actually that is one of the questions, about 2019, what we're excited about. So we'll get to those in a little bit. But I agree. It happens so fast. People talk about the winter break and, going to be able to relax. There hasn't been any relaxing. We've been chasing around champions and hearing championship stories and working on stuff. What have you been working on? How's the project meter going?
I've still got my Project 8N, my old Ford tractor sitting here in the shop. Had to order some parts for it coming out of Michigan. Should be here. They're telling me tomorrow. So if that's the case, then hopefully I'll have this thing done and out of here by Christmas. And other than that, it's been kind of quiet around Wild West Engineering. I'm still looking for a project car. Haven't had the right one fall out of the sky yet. So it's been a little bit quiet around here.
There you go. Now you're going to do your typical, is the Christmas holiday what it has been. It'll be on a Monday this year, Monday for Christmas and New Year's, which is a little, I don't know, I guess that's okay. Make it a 3-day weekend. But, the scotch tasting and the people passing through, are you still doing that?
My calendar says Christmas is Tuesday.
Oh, maybe Christmas Eve, I guess, and New Year's Eve are on Mondays. Eve, Christmas, it's all the same. Christmas is on Tuesday.
I will be partaking in my annual Christmas tradition again. I'll have everything set up down here at the shop and expecting people to stop by throughout the course of the day as they have over the last, 13 years, 14 years. So, that's my tradition, and I'm not going to change it this year. I'm looking forward to it.
There you have it. Well, cool deal. And, the week between Christmas and New Year's is always great stuff, even when it happens on a Tuesday. I've been saying Monday for like a week now, but that's the eves, which is fine by me. All right, we have offered to the audience to send some questions. They did, and I will read them to you. I do want to mention a couple of news stories that are of personal importance, like the new track surface at Gainesville Raceway, just what the doctor ordered, all concrete. They're already tearing it up. That is very exciting for the 50th Gator Nationals.
Yeah, that's something that had been talked about for a couple of years, and I think the decision was just made that the 50th is going to be such a big deal. We've been basically promoting it, and talking about it, and setting it up all year long. And no time like the present. You want to put your best foot forward for an event like that. So it's time to make the investment and go for it. I think it's terrific. I'll be there, of course, the week before for the baby Gators, so the sportsman cars will have an opportunity to tear up the track a little bit before the pros come into town. But I think that's just another ingredient that's going to make Gainesville next year a must-see event.
As someone, and not that I have expertise anywhere, but I've been there for so many of these races and watched the evolution of the track and the facility, it's always a great race, and it always has a great crowd, and there's always different drama that comes up. But the most recent version of the track, let's call it the last 12 to 15 years or so, and I guess the surface is 20 years old, which, boy, does time fly by. But the record-breaking nature of the 1980s Gainesville Raceway, where we saw, 260 and 270 and 300, that had kind of gone by the wayside as it was kind of tricky getting to the power to the ground, right? We saw Cruz last year blow a body up and all. Not that it's directly related, but it was a little bumpy out there. To me, this is going to be great because it's going to return Gainesville, hopefully, to that potentially record-setting or close to record track that I grew up with.
I think so. I mean, it certainly is going to be a step in the right direction. Smoother is always better in our sport, and a racetrack is no different from any other paved road. The road that you live on or the road that you drive to work on over the years, wear and tear and weather cycles and develops bumps, and the asphalt literally just wears out. So every once in a while, you need to tear it up, you need to repave it, you need to resurface it, and it's time to do that in Gainesville. As I said, a racetrack is no different from any other road.
And on that note, let's go to our first question, because it happens to be about these racetracks and how they are surfaced, and maybe you have some information. It is actually a bit of a celebrity caller, Jeff White of the White Noise Top Dragster, Jeff and Jennifer White. He's a WFO radio listener and called in this question on that subject.
Hey, Joe, it's Jeff White, longtime WFO listener and Nitro's Top Dragster crew chief. Hey, I have a question for you and Alan for the next couple of weeks. Got home last night and was surprised to see that Gainesville was resurfacing the track. prior to the 50th anniversary running of their national, which unfortunately I will not be able to fit into our drag racing schedule. I wanted to see if you and Alan could address how they go from tearing up all the concrete to having a perfectly smooth racing surface. It's the part of getting the concrete, ground smooth or something that I'd like to understand better. If you think that might be of interest to other racing fans. Appreciate the show. Appreciate you and Alan specifically talking every week. That's a great source of enjoyment for me, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year. Thanks, sir.
Very nice. He enjoys this portion of the show, which is very cool. Do you have any knowledge in that area? The placing, the grinding, and what is called for in certain circumstances?
Well, I do know that there is a specific recipe that is used for NHRA racetracks. They have different concrete for different applications. If you're pouring a slab that you're going to put a shed on, that's one thing. If you're building a bridge, you're not going to use exactly the same concrete for that. And over the years, there has been a spec developed that works best for a racing surface. And we have also seen a couple of times over the years when concrete was put down that didn't last. One of the most famous instances of that was Phoenix a long time ago when new concrete was poured on the launch pad, and we came in for the Nationals, and the concrete started literally coming up in chunks. And it was just an issue of, what that particular concrete was designed for wasn't to try to be a racetrack. And so over the years, that spec has been developed until that has become a science. And as far as the surfacing of it, like everything else, it's evolved. A number of years ago, you'd pour concrete and you'd level it with a 2x4 or whatever you'd use, and, you'd go out and finish it and try to get it as close as you could. But just like everything else, the science of laying down concrete has evolved. They now can do, things like warehouses and runways and huge, huge jobs that are very, very flat and very level. And that technology is used when you're doing racetracks. If you end up with imperfections or things that have to be ground, then grinding is certainly an option. But in this day and age, I think that, when you put down a fresh racing surface like they did at Vegas, when they expanded to 4 lanes and redid all 4 of them, like they did in Virginia, it just gets to the point that the process of putting the concrete down can be done and you get it laser level just to start with. So that's the process that they're going to be using down in Gainesville. Which is great. And, my dad's business for many years ago, was concrete placing and finishing. And we would always discuss this because, we love drag racing and all. And, as power screeds and everything came into it, what we saw used out there in Vegas, Jeff Foster had an unbelievable time lapse of that process going on. And then what we saw go down out there in Virginia, the track that everybody says is the smoothest, that or Vegas. What is interesting to me, though, is the surface itself. Like, what's the right thing to do? Do you want to make it polished? Do you want to have it be a little bit of texture to hold rubber? And it seems like as time is going by, and maybe I'm wrong here, please tell me if you know, it seems like the smoother is the polished smooth finish seems to be taking over as the thing to do. Smooth is definitely good. I don't know that polish, because you need to have something for the rubber to stick to, and if it's too smooth, then that can be an issue. But yeah, I think that just like everything else, it has evolved over time, where different people have tried different things, and this works better than that. So everybody kind of gravitated towards that. But there really is a science to it, and I don't know a whole lot about concrete, but I know a lifetime ago, being in the construction business, it was pretty regular for a large slab to be poured, and then they'd have to come in and level it, be it with grinding or with scabblers or whatever it took, before we could continue on with the construction project, because there wasn't a good way to get however many square feet as flat and level as it needed to be, just pouring it out of the back of a concrete truck. But all of that, everything has changed and evolved.
Yes, so true. And when I hear about grinders, I think something was not right. To answer Jeff's question as best as I can, initially, now with the way things are, like if a brand new surface is poured and we hear about grinders, I think, oh man, something was, there was a high spot. You got to grind it down and make it level, based on my informal knowledge. But interesting question. How about Jeff White out there listening to WFO on a weekly basis?
No, it's awesome. It's a shame that he's not going to be down there in Gainesville. It's a fun car that they have. When you got a nitrous car that's right there at the floor of the category in the very low 6-second zone, because more and more of the cars now are going with either pro chargers or conventional superchargers, and guys like him keep the diversity of the class, and that's one of the things that makes it exciting.
So cool. And thanks to Jeff for calling that one in. This question coming in from Will in North Carolina via email. Alan, if you were starting a team in the Nitro ranks tomorrow, who would you want as your crew chief?
If it's a dragster, Alan Johnson. If I'm doing a funny car, if I could get him, Jimmy Prock probably. And just because my mentality, I think, matches pretty well with Jimmy's, or Dickie Venables, kind of a go for the throat, run low ET, or run down the racetrack, don't hold anything back. That would be probably my A-list. There are certainly a number of them out there that are doing a tremendous job right now, but that would be those would be my first 3 picks.
That is, those are the best of the best right there, the real bigs, and I can't disagree with that. Here's another one coming in from Don in Georgia. Joe and Alan, is there a category that is outside of the NHRA that you would like to see in the NHRA? Perhaps a radial category, as an example, says Don in Georgia.
I don't know. I think that NHRA's got a pretty good diversity of categories right now. We had a number of the drag radial groups, both big tire and small tire, come out and join us in exhibition runs this past season, and I believe we're going to see some more of that. As far as making one of them a full-time class in NHRA, I'm not sure. I think I'm pretty happy with the diversity that we have right now. I think adding Pro Mod was huge. I think getting the Nitro Harleys there on a regular basis is huge. Right now, I can't pinpoint one that I'd say, we really need to go get this and add it. I think we've got a pretty good diversity out there right now. How about you?
That program has opened my eyes to many of the different things that were happening regionally. I've always been an NHRA guy, and the pinnacle of drag racing has always been the NHRA. And so, I'm into and really like and appreciate categories like Super Street, which maybe other people don't. You're not putting turbochargers and EFI on Super Street cars. That having been said, with this program, big tire, small tire, extremely small tire, whatever, I liked them and all, but I agree, it reaffirmed what I see at the NHRA as great categories. You have a great diversity. Do you want a drag race to the finish? Well, you can do these things. Do you want an index race? You can do these things. Is it a budget control category? Then you can do these things. And with Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, Pro Mod, Pro Stock, Comp Eliminator, Stock Eliminator, Super Stock, we cover a lot of the bases. The only thing that we really don't have is mid-level turbo cars, right? The drag radial stuff, which, from what I understand, the track prep has to be very, very different for those cars to hook up. So I'd like to see more of them, but I'm pretty happy with what we've got.
Agreed.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I was with that program, though. It is cool to see all the small series that have popped up around the country, though. Redemption and so on.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that it doesn't necessarily need to be added to NHRA as a full-time category. There are a lot of those racers that run regionally. They'll have a track or a couple of tracks within a couple of 100 miles, and they'll run, whether it's a 4-race or a 6-race series over the course of the summertime. I don't know how many of those racers would even be interested in, traveling 1,000 miles to go to a race, or traveling well outside of their geographic zone, whether it be for financial considerations or for time considerations or taking time off work considerations. So I think it's great that, they get to be included. to come out and be a part of one of our NHRA events from time to time. I just, at this point, I really don't see the need of adding another full-time class category out there.
There you have it. All right, this next one called in by Race Guitar, Mike, who is a very passionate NHRA fan north of the border, and he is creating work for us now. It's not just a basic question. Now he wants us to do a top 5. I give you a little heads up on it. He's going to list his top 5 moments of 2018 and would like ours. I'm still working on mine. Maybe you've got yours ready. But here is the audio of Race Guitar.
Hey, Joe and Alan, it's Mike, Race Guitar. So here we come to the end of 2018, and I thought we'd do a top 5 recap. Obviously, I want to hear your guys' top 5 as well. So here we go. Number 5, Matt Smith, Pro Stock Bike Champ. That was quite a season for him. Pretty good. That EBR body really came through when he needed it. Number 4, Chris and Kevin Houle in their alcohol funny car. Not once, but twice, those guys showed that you never quit, never lift if you still have a chance, because they did it in Chicago and they did it again in Maple Grove. Number 3, Sean Bellemare, Top Alcohol Funny Car World Champ. Boy, the Bartone Bros and that guy, Steve Boggs, boy, they did a great job. I believe it was a perfect score, but I could be wrong about that. Number 2, David Rampy. Goes to 2 finals in Dallas, has a chance to walk out of there with 100 and 101, came up short. But he got it done in Pomona, got the 100th win, 4th on the list. Great guy, great effort. And of course, you have to go number 1, Steve Torrance, for the perfect season. I mean, perfect playoffs. 24 out of 24, 6 wins in the championship. It doesn't get any better than that. All right, I'm interested to hear your guys' takes. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
There he is, Race Guitar. He's got his top 5, and now he would like ours. Would you like me to go first? Do you want to go? How do you want to do this?
Up to you, Joe. Your show.
Let's do 5. Alan's 5th, and then my 5th, counting down to number 1.
Oh, okay. We got to go backwards. All right. Number 5 for me is Justin Lamb's year. After winning 2 championships in 2017, he came within 1 point of repeating that feat in 2018. And for a guy who really wasn't planning on chasing points, wasn't planning on chasing a championship or doing a full-time schedule, that's my number 5.
I love that. And I was toying around with something with Justin because, yes, it's unbelievable performance. That's incredible how he's been able to do it. But my 5th was Clay Millican, start of the season. The Top Fuel world record, that 3.62, was just unbelievable. And to stand there and watch it happen and see a number like that, and then knowing that track prep would change, and I was thinking we might never see anything like that again, and then at the tail end of the season, they were getting close. And so Clay, number 5. All right, number 4. Go ahead.
Joey Severance. He also did not have a very good year by his own standards and by his own admission. Certainly struggled some in the middle of the year. But at the end of the season, Sean Cowie just couldn't close the deal, and he left the door open enough for Joey to sneak back and win another championship. So number 4 for me is Joey getting 4 in a row, and the epic battle between he and Sean Cowie. They're very good friends. They run a very similar combination. The performance of the cars is great, and they are just a fun show to watch, just those two in themselves. But Joey closing the deal again is my number 4.
So true, so true. And Joey, one of the champions we have yet to get in our Parade of Champions. We'll do that after the turn of the year. I know he definitely does not want to do it, but he probably will for us, so that is good. For me, number 4, Rambo, the 100. That's a story that I was on all year long. Love the guy, and that is just rare air to get to that, and I loved watching it, trip him up a little bit. Like we saw it with Fletcher and we saw it with Rampy, and it's just every milestone typically requires a little extra effort to break through. We saw it with the sound barrier back in the day with Chuck Yeager. When you're up against some sort of barrier, it's hard to bust through, and Rampy struggled to get through, but then he got through and ended up with 100.
Okay.
Number 3.
My number 3 is the entire pro stock category. I think, all of the different winners, the incredible parity. Tanner certainly had a great run in the countdown to the championship, and he deserved to win the whole thing. But I think when you look back at the first-time winners, and just it's been a while since on Sunday morning you looked at the Pro Stock ladder and there were legitimate 10 cars or 12 cars that you knew had a shot at winning the race. And that, the competition they did, the show they put on for the fans, I think was terrific. And all the new winners, all the different winners, that was a real highlight for me.
Oh, I love it, and I agree. And the category that has been left for dead, like every year for the past couple of years, continues to get better in terms of competition and entertainment. And I think next year, judging by, I don't know what you heard out at PRI, but what I heard was quite a few people committed to run the full series next year that maybe weren't. And that 24 down to 18 thing is looking like it might end up being... I know some people are going to be against it regardless, but a big positive move. If we get, 18 to 20 pro stockers out there, or even, 18 out there, that will be a great thing for 2019.
Well, we've certainly seen in the past couple of years a number of the teams that didn't want to make the commitment to the full series, whether they had business commitments, whether they had family commitments. 24 races a year, throw in a couple of weeks of testing, and there's 52 weeks in a year. And if you've got 26 of them committed to go pro stock racing, then that's a pretty big chunk of your calendar. And a number of the teams out there didn't want to do it, just plain and simple. They enjoy the category, they enjoy the challenge, but this is something that they want to do 12 times a year, or maybe 14 times a year, but definitely not 6 months of the year. Even though it's stretched out over 10, but you get what I'm saying. And at this point now, if it's 18 races and you're already committed to going to 14, that's not that big a jump. You get a car out there that's competitive, you're a championship contender, you're a race-winning contender. Now you might stretch the schedule a little bit. But, adding 4 events to a year-long schedule is a whole lot easier on most people than adding 10 events to a year-long schedule. So I think that some of those, 12 to 14 race guys are going to make the commitment, and we'll see them on a full-time basis.
I think it is great, and this is a perfect time to mention the news that Shane Tucker and Nick Ferry are kind of getting together on an engine program for 2019. It's going to be good to see Shane back out there. A lot of rumors about Shane. Is he coming back? How's he coming back? All that deal. But just another pro stocker going to be out there, and we already know what Nick Ferry is capable of.
Yeah, he's been successful everywhere that he's been, and there's no reason to think that he won't be working with Shane.
There you go. Now, I think it's interesting. For number 3, we both kind of went with a category. I did the same thing with factory stock, the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. You said pro stock. I'm saying Samtech Factory Stock, just because it's like got this great vibe and electricity when they come to the staging lanes. People are buzzing. You see celebs down in the lanes looking around, whether you're in the Nitro ranks or whatever you're in. People want to get up close and personal to these cars. They're real cars. They're big. They're chunky. They're fast. They sound wicked with the superchargers. And as NHRA manages the growth, the popularity is through the roof. And to see Leah Pritchett go on and really poured on at the tail end of the season in El Bandito and win those final couple of races and break into the 7s. We saw Archie Cohn go in the 7s, milestones happening. I felt like number 3 was Samtech Factory Stock Showdown as a category.
Can't argue with that. I think that, the 2 best things that they have going for the category right now is that the cars are identifiable from the grandstands. Everybody that's sitting there watching can pick out which one's a Mustang, which one's a Camaro, which one's a Challenger, and they can identify with them because they are stock cars. And the second one is just that all of the factories are so enthusiastically involved, and that certainly makes the class healthy.
Absolutely. All right, number 2.
Number 2 for me is Sean Bellemere. I agree with the guitar guy on that. Just the run that they went on in the middle of the season and the season they had. They came in, basically with a singular mission to win the championship, and they came, they saw, they conquered. They won Indy. The run they went on in the middle of the season was just incredible, and especially with the level of competition. Doug Gordon out there again, very, very strong. We didn't see as much of the Lombardo and Jackson team as I thought we were going to this year, but when they showed up, they were strong. Annie Whiteley, Chris Marshall, what an unbelievable year he had. But in the end, Sean Bellemere trumped them all, and that was a Manzo-esque performance.
It really was. Oh, I love that. That is a good parallel to draw. Number 2 for me, regarding the Nitro champions, the fact that DSR nor JFR was represented as a Nitro champion for the first time going back to 1992. That was a little bit of research I kind of delved in when we got close to the end of the season. And I was thinking, like, well, when was the last time that one or the other didn't own one of the Nitro championships? Like, when was it? It had to be, when was it? And the fact that John won all those in the 90s, and then Tony won a bunch in a row, and then it kind of went back and forth with Schumacher drivers and Force drivers. And here in 2018, neither team was able to capitalize and win a Nitro championship for the first time in so long, going back to the previous century. To me, that was a big deal.
I agree with that, but I also think that stat is a little incomplete, maybe. Don Schumacher Racing didn't exist in 1992. So to say that, neither one of them since, and, what you're saying is certainly correct, but DSR didn't exist in 1992. So John Force, you're stretching the string back farther than one team was even playing the game.
I am. I agree with that. But one or the other has had a lock on one or the other back to the early 90s when I was 1 year out of high school. That's just an incredible string. Like, one took over for the other at that point. But I still think it's just so unlikely.
Well, the Calera team certainly has been strong, and they won the Funny Car Championship a couple of years ago. And I think we probably both have Steve Torrance at the number 1. So you want to just move on to that?
Yeah, yes. Number 1.
The Capco boys, I think that's going to be number 1 on everybody's list. Not just what they did in the countdown to the championship, but 11 wins on the season. I mean, nobody thought that would happen again in this era. Undefeated in final round competition. Throw in Billy's win, and they won half of the races. That's just incredible in this day and age, and with the parity we have, and also the fact that they did it by buying technology, not by making their own. When Alan Johnson is out there winning championships, he's also back in the lab and he's tinkering and he's playing, and I think that he is able to invent things or able to come up with things that nobody else has figured out yet. But the way the Torrance team did it, when they went and basically bought all their parts and pieces, put the right people in place, I think that's pretty impressive. And I also like the fact that I know for a fact, because I've heard rumblings, that at least a couple of people that have done some racing in the past are now considering maybe putting together a team, maybe coming back out, because it's just been proven that, you don't have to have the 2 million square foot race shop that Don Schumacher has or that John Force has to come out and run with and outrun these guys. You can buy the stuff that you need. All you've got to do is have the right people and enough smarts to put it together, and you can go out there and win. And I think that's good for everybody. Totally agree.
I agree. That is number 1. The Capco team, perfection in the countdown, perfection in final rounds. The word perfection, you don't need to explain it, and they are the first to really do that in the countdown era, giving everybody something to shoot for. How much fun is that going to be over the next couple of years to watch people try? And that was it. Simply perfect. You need not say more. Steve Torrance and the Capco team. And, they're still on a run. Who knows what they're going to do at the start of the year. Okay, next question, final question. This one, pretty simple. I alluded to it at the very beginning, which is, guys, what are you most looking forward to in 2019?
I'm just looking forward to another great year. Give us good weather, and we'll take it from there. The level of competition is great right now. The metrics are on an upswing. Some changes to the television show, and just I'm ready to get going. I'm certainly looking forward to Gainesville. We've been talking about that all year. It's going to be great to see it finally arrive and on the new racetrack. But there's still some announcements that are forthcoming. There's still some changes in the works that haven't been made official as far as, personnel and teams and crew chiefs and that kind of stuff. But I'm just looking forward to getting started. We had a great year. I think we've got pretty good momentum on our side right now, and I can't wait to get back to it.
Absolutely. For me, it's the Gator Nationals, bar none, the 50th. It'll be my 40th straight. The fact that we've got another event that has surpassed 50 years in the NHRA, I'm eager to see what happens. I can't really recall, I know for the 60th U.S. Nationals, we did a lot of promotion, but, one whole solid year of legends going out to tracks, promoting this race. Everything that we have done has been based around promoting this race. I'm really hoping for an absolute mob scene in a good positive way. And just enjoying it. 50 years of the Gator Nationals, for me, 40. That is what I am most looking forward to in 2019. Alan, great job. As usual, thank you for doing the top 5 and answering questions of the WFO universe. I appreciate that.
No problem, Joe. No problem. It was fun doing it. It's been another good year on WFO radio, and I'd probably be remiss if I didn't throw in, I think, at least an honorable mention in the top 5. The guy that asked the question mentioned Matt Smith. And I think Matt Smith, for my money, had the strongest single race performance of the year when he came into the World Finals, knowing that he'd had a motor under the bench that was better and wanted to save it and wanted to unload it on him then, and then ended up, qualifying number 1, basically running the table, setting the national record, and winning the championship. And I think for a one-event performance, if that wasn't the strongest one of the year, I think it at least deserves to be in the debate.
Absolutely. And Matt will be on the show just minutes from now. Matt, going to be our final of the Mellow Yellow Champions. And I totally agree. That was pretty amazing. And he's going to give us a deep dive into what went on that race and what they were doing and his whole race by race of the NHRA countdown. So fans of Pro Stock Motorcycle, you're going to love it. Before we let you go, a couple of crew chiefs moving around. Mike Green going to Tasca to work alongside of Eric Lane. Joe Barlam going back to Bob Vandergriff. These are not the end of the moves. These are the beginning of the moves, but moves are being made.
Yeah, the Barlam one surprised me a little bit because, he seemed like he was perfectly happy there at Schumacher's, and obviously, they had a good car and good chemistry on Leah's machine. But, I know that he did work for Bob Vandergriff before and, enjoyed that relationship and liked it. And with Bob bringing the second car out, apparently he was enticed to go back. I know that they're not planning on running that second car for the entire 24 event season, at least not now. So maybe that had something to do with it. And the Mike Green thing I also thought was interesting. I was trying to remember the other day, the last time that Mike actually was hands-on on a funny car. He has been involved a little bit with all of the Schumacher teams over the course of the years, but his main focus has, for the most part of his career, been top fuel cars. So I think that's going to be an interesting move, putting him over there. He's obviously a very smart guy, and you can never have too many brains in the lounge when you're trying to run one of those things, I promise you.
So true. So true. Going to be very interesting to see. And, Eric Lane has worked with the greats of the great, and Mike Green is another one of them to go alongside. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Bob is able to do in the 2019 season. Alan, great job as usual. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side of the big barrier that is 2019. I look forward to the season. I agree completely. Want to get going and start seeing things happen, and won't be long till testing is going on and we're at the Winter Nationals.
All right, Joe. I look forward to it. You have a great Christmas and a great New Year's. And if there's anybody listening that's in the Tucson, Arizona area on Christmas Day, if you want to stop by the shop, stop by the shop. You can, send me an email, get directions, or hit me up on Twitter, get directions, whatever you need to do.
There you have it. Alan, enjoy. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, Joe. Thanks. Take care.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. The Alan Reinhart segment alone. And you heard Jeff White, Jeff and Jennifer White, the White Noise, formerly the Spider Bite, top dragster. He's a listener. We have so many people out there who they choose this as they're getting from place to place entertainment. And I appreciate that greatly. And, Alan has done such a great job. He had first started coming on WFO in 2006. And it is when we were on satellite radio. We were on XM satellite radio. It was the first national radio NHRA-related themed show. And we broke a lot of barriers with that. People were like, well, NASCAR is the only thing that people care about. People don't care about that. And we proved them wrong. We got great numbers. and have continued that to this podcast here today, many years later, 10 years of WFO radio. Just great stuff, and looking forward to 2019. Thanks to Alan for coming on the show. We've got Matt Smith coming up. We got Brian McClanahan. We have got Kevin McKenna, and working on something for my time at the very tail end of the show. But right now I want to tell you about Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com, Marvin Rodak. Look, you're getting down to the wire now, really. But New Year's, in January, it's never too late to get yourself a Rodak's holiday pack, whether it be the WFO Radio Blend or the Funny Car Chaos or Bang the Blower. I started my day off with Funny Car Chaos today. And it is just fantastic. They've got coffee mugs and tools and, temperature thermometers for grilling, the hot sauces and the spice rubs. The Habanero Endorphin Booster hot sauce, in the end, these things are all, the word gourmet and over the top and high level and fantastic. Which one of those words is going to trip the buzzer in your mind and say to you, I've got to do this. I've got to get it. I've got to get on board with Marvin. You can buy in bulk. And we're finding, the shipping it out is a little bit of a challenge. The prices of shipping things have gone up a little bit. Just get more, baby, and have them stuff it in those flat rate boxes. Figure it all out. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Give them a call, 817-924-6821. That's 817-924-6821. I'm actually trying to get them to do a hot sauce flight with all 4 of the hot sauces that they put out, just so you could have it on the table. Isn't that cool? 817-924-6821. Tell Marvin you heard about it on WFO Radio, and you're looking for something great that's going to get you through April 2019, and he will hook it up. That is RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Spend a little time on the website. Great guy, and our listeners' choice. They love him. That is a fact. All right, when we come back, Matt Smith will join us. The Parade of Champions continues.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amelie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amelie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
It's been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Hey, everybody, this is Joe Castello. When I'm at the racetrack, I am always checking out the cars to see what's hot, what's cool, what is the nicest and best and most effective part piece out there. And what I am finding is that the folks at Aerospace Components have got it going on. They've been in business for over 30 years. Everything is made in America, and they are family-owned and operated. Aerospace Components is a name known throughout the racing industry as one of the leaders in manufacturing high-performance drag racing products. And if you go to their website right now, Aerospace Components, you can check out exactly what I'm talking about. Check it out. That's aerospacecomponents.com. Let them know you heard it on WFO.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro. That's right. You can subscribe at WFOradio.com. Download our mobile application. You can subscribe on your Apple phone. Let me tell you, we went out and we got this application, and I saw that Bobby Bennett from Competition Plus, one of our media partners, has got an application now. I watched the Gary Selsey thing. Gary Selsey thing was awesome. Great job by Bobby. But they have an app now. And it was great. People are downloading the CompetitionPlus.com app, and I think it is great. Great way to get your news. We have had the WFO Radio app. Put it this way. The WFO Radio app was the first media app in drag racing. I stand by that. Right after the introduction of the iPhone, the WFO Radio app was up, and it has gone through many different evolutions. And, of course, you want to write a review. Get the app, write a review. Now, I told you that story to tell you this one. As great as the WFO Radio app is, because you get push notifications and you can see all our different stuff, the apps that are built right into the mobile devices now, like podcasts on the iOS devices, are incredible. You subscribe, it tells you when something new is up. It gives you a little push notification automatically. New WFO, get it. And then it's right on your mobile device. It is so incredibly easy, and I think that's one of the reasons why podcasts are just absolutely taking off, because they are so easy once you figure out how to listen to them. Like, really? It's that easy? Everybody's worried. Like, oh, my goodness, what do I have to do? Is it complicated? The answer is no. It is not complicated in any way. You know what else isn't complicated? Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. This is something you need to do in the 2019 season. 2019, what are you going to do to improve your life, to do something for yourself? Yeah, the clients and the salespeople and the friends and the neighbors and the wife and the spouse and all of that stuff. Yes, but look beyond that to yourself. 866-480-7223. This is the year you can do it. I'm sure in the past you've heard me talking about 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile and 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. The idea that you're doing a burnout. Who gets to do a burnout in a dragster and just show up? You know, a buddy of mine sent me a, learn to drive in the snow in a Subaru kind of thing. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, man, I would much rather do the Dragster Adventure. How much is this thing? It was $1,000. Of course, it started $399, folks. This is something you need to do. If you love watching the racing, think of how much you will love racing. And up until now, you might not have thought it was possible. Now it is. Enjoy. Dragster Adventure, go to booking dates. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still get your license, your super gas license, your super comp license, and a Frank Hawley car. They got all kinds of great stuff going on. They were very busy out there at PRI, Top Dragster. You can work with Frank for your bracket racers, like on the mental. But in the end, get that toe in the water with the Dragster Adventure. 866-480-7223. Tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio. Like that WFO guy, man, he's got me convinced. And I'm going to do it. The Dragster Adventure. And thanks to Frank and Lana Hawley for their support of the WFO Radio podcast each week. Absolutely love them. All right, next up, our final Mellow Yellow Series champion of our Parade of Champions, the Pro Stock Motorcycle Mellow Yellow World Champion for 2018. He did it in the final round of the final race. Joining us now, Matt Smith. Matt, congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Dramatic. Very dramatic. The most dramatic of all the countdown performances in the Mellow Yellow Series. Of course, Steve Torrance going perfect. That is very dramatic as well. So that was very interesting until the final run for him, even though the championship was decided. Yours was a little different. It was still on the line with old nemesis Eddie Krawick standing between you and the championship, and you got the job done in the final run of the final race at Pomona to become a champion once again. Wow, what a season.
What a season. You said that right. We had some very low moments, and we had some very high moments. So all in all, it turned out to be a very high moment at the end of the year and for our season.
Okay, take me back, and this has been brought up many times, and, I don't know that everybody remembers it. There are casual fans out there that say, yeah, Matt Smith, man, he had a championship year. But the ECU left on the side of the road story, I feel very close to that story because I was there that morning, like when you guys were kind of running around like, man, we don't have a bike, we don't have stuff. Things happened. The partnership broke up on the fly. This is in Charlotte. And at that point, the whole season was in question, not whether you'd win a championship, but whether you'd race.
Yeah, so it basically boiled down to, we didn't have a sponsor for this year, so I decided to ride a Suzuki for somebody else this year. Gainesville, we didn't qualify, but he had a brand-new chassis that Vance and I's built, and it was just a frame. So I got it as a frame, basically with a body, mounted on it. And I had to complete everything else. And that's what I worked on from Gainesville till Charlotte, was getting that bike ready to go. Even went and tested it twice, had it ready to go. And we had put the new Magneti Morelli fuel injection system on it and had everything ready to run, which no Suzuki's running the Magneti Morelli stuff. And so it was basically right off my victory bike that I had. I only had 2 ECUs with the new software that we've been working on for the last couple of years. And we just had that on that Suzuki bike. And basically, 5 o'clock in the morning, that bike disappeared. That guy took it and went up the road with it. And I couldn't even run my own bike that was in the top of the trailer. I needed that ECU to run it. So long story short, that ECU got left on the side of the road in a box. I had to go pick it up, drive an hour and a half one way to go pick it up, come back and rode my bike, pulled it out at Charlotte. And like you said, I didn't know we just knew he was going to race there because I was already there. Didn't know how much more racing I was going to be able to do. But Lisa Denzo stepped up and said, hey, I'll cover you for the next 5 or 6 races and let's see what we can do. I'll help you out. And that's where we were at that point.
Now, without going too much more into that story, partnerships break up. There's all kinds of, crazy stuff that happens in all business, not just drag racing. And so, who knows what the genesis was, and it is not our business, nor do we care. But the ECU is a vital piece. And if nothing illustrates it, like that is, can you compare it to something like else in your life? The work and the time and the effort that goes into that, the brain of the fuel injection system, and to not have it, it would be a big problem.
Well, I would have had to put, an old ECU on that we had, and, old software. Even my old ECUs we could update with a new software. We just haven't had that done, and Steve Nichols can do that for me, but he's in Kentucky. And the problem is I only had 2 of those boxes at the time because we were still developing new stuff with it. And the big part is, the ECU runs the fuel injection, it runs the ignition, and it also gets data out of the ECU. So that's a vital part of our whole deal, and that's what led me to be able to win this championship this year, is to have that piece of stuff on there.
Amazing. No, it is amazing. And for those that are wondering, at that particular race, you went, to the semis or to the final round out there? To the semifinals in Charlotte.
Yeah, we went to the final round, in the 4-wide, and the bike kind of got out of control a little bit and started spinning the tire pretty good out there, and I ended up boinking a cone down there at about 1,000 foot, and that made us be semifinal. If we'd have kept it straight, we probably could have got second. We wasn't going to win the race. It didn't look like by the incremental numbers, but I think we'd have got second. But anyway, we bonked the coin, and that gave us semifinal finish.
There you go. And I'm looking at the ladder on NHRA.com, and a quick reference. I'm like, why is this ladder all weird? And it's because it was the 4-wide. That is absolutely correct. First race of the year out there at ZMAX Dragway. So the season goes on, and, this category just wide open. A lot of players, maybe not the 29, 30 bikes we were seeing a couple of years ago, but still many competitors and everybody running well in the mix. It wasn't like a year of domination as we have seen in the past. Angie had some great success. You went out there and won the Pro Bike Battle, the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. You and Eddie in the final round, a little smack talk, and that was a harbinger of things to come. Who knew? A little foreshadowing right there for the championship.
Yeah, we went to Chicago and basically won that race. You know, it was the fourth race of the year. And, you know, then we went on to Sonoma and won the shootout there. And, you know, right before Chicago, I talked to Richard Freeman, and I said, hey, can you buy one of these bodies at Hector? I said, we watched his couple of the runs, and they were bogging all over the place, and they were still going big speed. He goes, you think you got the power they got? I said, Richard, I got more power than they got. I said, buy the body, and I'll prove it to you. And he said, okay. So he bought the body. It took us until Brainerd, but once we got it, we showed everybody what we had, and I think at that point there, everybody knew that we were the bike to beat for the championship.
Yes, that was a big deal, and I remember just personally having a conversation with you and Richard on the starting line somewhere. I don't remember exactly where it was, but that was the discussion point. Richard was saying, he says it's going to be better, and he better be right, and all of that, and you says it will be, and it was, and that was amazing. And then next thing you know, now 200-mile-per-hour runs and all that, but the countdown reshuffles everything. And your countdown was pretty impressive, starting out with, it wasn't Steve Torrance impressive, Matt. I know you understand that. But no, he's the only one. A runner-up, followed by a win over LE. And so you're starting out very strong. And you had to be thinking really good thoughts at that point with 2 final rounds in the first 2 races of the countdown.
Yeah, you know, when we left Reading, I really thought we had the bike to win there. I mean, we were the fastest bike second round, the fastest bike third round, and really I thought we had Hector Jr. covered. And the fuel line broke when I put it in fourth gear out there, and it just started spraying fuel, and I shut the bike off. So I think we would have won Reading too. But then we went back to St. Louis the next week, made a new fuel line, and won that race. And that put us in the championship lead. And, you know, I went to Dallas, and I said, let's just protect our points lead, and let's just run, you know, and protect the points lead. And I consider that as racing scared. And that bit me in the butt, you know, because I lost first round to Karen Stouffer. And from that point forward, I said, no matter what else happens the rest of the year, I'm not racing scared anymore. We're going after this. We're going to go win races. And if the cars play out, we'll win this championship.
Let's explore that a little bit. We have racers out there. I like to imagine, Matt. We've got racers out there that listen to this show to hear other racers talk about big moments like this, you know, how to win championships, that kind of stuff. Racing scared. You had a 101 light against Karen. Tell me about that. Were you like, man, don't go red. Karen doesn't have the performance. I better back off. Like, define it a little bit more so that other racers, even bracket racers, can avoid it.
Well, basically, you know, the bikes react quicker than anything else out there, you know, for our horsepower to weight ratio. So we have a hard time, you know, cutting green lights. We can red light every time we drop the clutch if we try to hit the tree hard every time. So we go through a fundamental things of changing levers, the way we hold the lever to, you know, really slowing our reaction time down. Because if we hit it hard like you should hit it hard, we'd go 320s or 310s about every time from what I've seen, you know, with the way we do it. So we have to slow our stuff down. So basically, I was number 1 qualifier, and I was running Karen, and I said, you know, she's number 16. Yes, they can run fast, but they can't run like we can. So let's go up there, and have a 50 or 60 light, win first round, and go to the next round, you know. And I saw a couple people red light, and I'm like, man, just let's don't give this away. So I squeezed the clutch lever a little bit harder with my fingers, which I already had adjusted my deal to go 50 or 60. When I did that, that put another 3 or 4 on it, and I went 100, and I just couldn't catch her. And it was just, you know, just one of the deals and that was me racing scared. I cannot depend on what other people do in front of me. I just got to do what I'm supposed to go to.
Wow. Now that's a great moment there that you are illustrating, because you had set up to be green already, and then you poured some more on, and you just couldn't catch her. That has to be a terrible feeling, Matt.
It is. And you know, when you plug in third gear and fourth gear and you see that bike out there, you're like, oh, no, I don't think I can run her down. And I was running her down. I just ran out of real estate. You know, if it had been 1,360 feet, we probably would have won, but it was 1,320, and I just couldn't turn the wind light on.
Wow. All right. So then you take that new information, that lesson that the racing gods slapped you in the face a little bit and said, hey, wake up. And now you go on to Charlotte and you win the race. No longer racing scared. And, turn things around. Meanwhile, LE, Hector, all in the mix with points. Eddie Krawick, kind of typical steady Eddie, just going rounds every week. Who knew at that point he would end up being second as defending champ? But you really are able to get the job done in Charlotte, a race that Chip Ellis, he had the bike to beat, as some would say, but he went red in the final round.
Yeah, me and Chip's good friends, and that was Harley's intention to have a blocker out there to help Andrew and Eddie win that championship, and it just come down to me and Chip in the finals, and I had to play the game a little bit with Chip because I knew he had a little bit faster bike than we did, but it paid off. He went red, he went 81, we went 83, and we turned the win light on and took the points lead back.
Play the game. Now, again, first of all, we love that. That's, your dad obviously is a tried and true drag racer from back in the day when that kind of stuff happened all the time, when racers are trying to bring home, money to buy dinner, frankly, and, raise their kids and all. It's a little different nowadays. But, what can you do? You guys on the bikes, you do it more often than we hear pretty much any other category. Playing the game. Give me an example.
Playing the game. I mean, sometimes, I'll go in fast. Sometimes I'll stage first. Sometimes we go up there and we just look at each other, and neither one wants to do anything. So I try to get my opponent's head as much as I can because I've learned a lot from my dad, who is, back in the day was one of the best and still is, I think probably one of the best out there. But I learned a lot from him and just watching and learning and listening to stories. And I just love to do it myself because, man, when people try to mess with me and do that, it just pumps me up even more. And I'm like, they just played right into my hand. That's my card hand because I love to do that stuff. And, not only does it give us a little bit more TV time, it gets the fans, more interactive in the deal. And, I wish more happened like that because I remember back in the day where the daggone NHRA starter would just sit on the stool and let it go on. I remember Buster Couch back in the day just sit on a stool and, the fans would go crazy and really get into it. And I think that needs to happen more now with our sport to get fans more energetic with it. But all in all, it worked out good for me, and we won the race.
Agreed. No, I totally agree, and longtime listeners of the WFO podcast know that that's something we're, pushing for. I think it has to do with confidence, though, Matt. Not everybody is as confident as you are and Eddie is. Two multi-time champ, great racers. There was a time where you and Eddie were together. Andrew was there, too, when we were doing our Mellow Yellow walking tour. And you guys, you had fun. You were cutting up, but you were together promoting the category to this group of people in person. And to me, it was a great moment because you're competitors, but you're friends, but you'll battle each other and support the category all at the same time. To me, that comes from confidence. Then you guys know you're good. And so you're willing to go out there and do it. Maybe some, more less experienced racers, they don't feel up to it.
Yeah, it has to do with confidence, but I'd say anybody that knows how to race, you just got to go up there and do what's right for yourself. Some people can play the game, some people can't. Sometimes it's better for people just look straight down the racetrack and focus on their deal and not focus on who they're running. And that's kind of what I do a lot of times. But certain people, especially when they're faster or they're just as equal as I am, I'll go up there and I'll play the game with them, But, a lot of times, it's just whatever I feel like. I don't have anything set before I get up there. It's when I strap that helmet on, it's like, well, let's try this time, So I don't go up there with a plan. I just go up there and do what's natural.
Next race, Vegas, and you got to be feeling pretty good. And that's the story of your year. As soon as you start feeling good, like, hey, all right, oh, nope, ECU's gone. Okay, hey, we got it. Nope, you lose again. It's just kind of keeping you humble along the way. A second round red light to Hector Jr., who goes on and is able to win the race. You were 15th out early. To be fair, he was 019, and he outran you by about 2 Hun, so that would have been really tough. You'd have to been near perfect. But so you were pushing for a reason. But bottom line is now the final race, and it's in question. You would have loved to have locked it up early with 1.5 points. That's not the plan for anybody. They don't want that to happen. And you were going to have to go out there to the Auto Club Finals and perform. So tell me a little bit about what you did between the Vegas red light and showing up in Pomona.
Yeah, so there again, we was at Vegas and, told myself we're not going to race scared, even though we knew Hector had a little bit of advantage on us. I went up there and tried to hit the tree as hard as I could, and we come up on the red side. So we decided that evening to stay over on Monday and test. We had a new motor and showed good on the dyno, but we haven't ran it this year. And I told Angie, I said, let's just stay over Monday. Let's test. Let's see if we can get our 8th mile numbers down. And if everything works out good, then we'll run it. Because you can't, it's hard to experiment in the countdown because you've got qualifying points and bonus points. And when you're running for a championship and you're that tight with these 3 and 4 guys, you just can't give those little points up. That's what won the deal for me. And when it's all said and done, that Monday test showed big promise. I was very confident that we were fast because we had Jerry there, we had Angel there, we had a couple other bikes there testing, and we were a tenth faster than them. And I was like, wow. I said, something, it's going to be good. So we go out there, and I think everybody showed. We went out the first pass and went 77 at 200. And from that point on, we had the bike to beat at Pomona. And I think we were low every round except for first round when the airline blew off the air shifter. But, and we didn't run Q4, but if my bike went down the racetrack under power, we were the quickest and we were the fastest of every round.
Wow. Yeah, and the mile per hour thing also, the 200 mile per hour. Now, this engine that you had for the final race, I had heard 2 different stories, and I just want to, clarify. Was it, like a brand new piece that you had been working on, or was it one that you had figured out earlier in the year was the best of the bunch, and you were saving it specifically for this moment?
No, it was brand new. Everything was brand new on it. It's just a new piece that we had been working on for new parts, new pieces, and like I said, it was an R&D motor. And, if you remember, this is only the second year with this Gen 2 motor that we developed with S&S and Victory 2 years ago.
Yes.
So we don't have a lot of R&D on this thing. And, so I'm constantly buying a couple little things here and there to try new parts, new pieces, having pieces made. And, to have pieces made, it takes, a lot of times it takes 3 to 5 months to get stuff done. So when you have new stuff made, it's just hard to be able to test that when the season gets going like that. And basically we were to that point that it was all brand new and we decided to run it. And I think it showed us. We've got more of those pieces ordered for next year. So I think that, all 6 of those motors that I have right now will be converted to this new stuff. And I think that, I'm going to be just as fast, if not faster than we were last year. And I think Angie will be the same also next year because she's got the new pieces coming we're building her 2 brand new motors just like that with the Gen 2 motor. And we also picked up a new body kit from the Ranas up at PRI for her.
There you go. Wow. All right, let's focus, though, on the final run of the final race of the biggest thing of the, this is what it's all about. And, I wonder, in your career, this is got to be what you pretended to do in the backyard as a little kid, when your dad is out there running races, you're running around the pits as a small little boy, dreaming of final rounds to win world championships. That's it. And your opponent is the reigning champ. He's Eddie Krawiec. You guys have got this great rivalry, which, we talked about earlier, and he could totally take it from you and be the champ again. And boy, Eddie, that's just so his character, right? And so tell me about getting back from the semis after beating LE. Eddie takes down Hector, and all of a sudden he's in the mix out of nowhere. Eddie Krawiec, here he is, preparing for that run, you did have him covered performance-wise throughout the day because of your power plant. And, again, a 10th is shocking. How do you do that? I don't know. But the bottom line is you got to beat this guy to win the title.
Yeah, well, we went in, I guess the semifinal, just a little story semifinal. So semifinal, when I ran LE, we actually hit the rev limiter about 150 feet before the line, and it barely went 200. And I was like, oh, my goodness, I said it was hard on the limiter. And I get back and look at the data, and, and it was correct. But, the biggest thing is after we did that, we went 76 there, and I knew we could probably go, if I really wanted to, we could go 74. If I could have if I'd have hit it a little bit harder than 60 foot. But I knew we had everybody covered, so it wasn't no use to me really trying to hit it that much harder. So when Eddie rolls around the corner down there, he's yapping off, which is funny because, Eddie's trying to get into my head now. And he's going, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I said, and I looked at him. He took his helmet off. He says, I'm coming for you. I said, well, come on. You better find a 10th and come on. We'll race like that. And I drove off. And, I knew that they have power to run with us, but, I think we've seen the potential of what they have. I don't think they were sandbagging anymore. I mean, they've always been known to sandbag, and I think they had all their stuff turned up. So I'm pretty happy with our performance. I'm pretty happy with that, but we went to the finals. We both had identical lights, and I kind of just drove away from them from the 330 on. We had about the same 60, same 330, and from that point on, the horsepower that we had just drove away from them. And then we went the fastest speed ever at 201.22 in the finals.
Yeah, tremendous. And the pressure and all of that, the moment the win light comes on for any racer at any time in eliminations is a big deal. But to end the season and win a championship, to see that light come on, to feel all of that all at once, what is that like?
If I told you I wasn't nervous, I'd be lying to everybody. We're always nervous when we go up there, especially for that final round. I know Eddie was nervous. He had to be, and I was nervous. But you got to put all that to the side and just go up there and do your job. And to win the championship, to see that light come on, and to know that now I'm a 3-time champ instead of just a 2-time champ. And, there's been a lot of people that's won 1 championship or maybe won 2. But when you start winning 3 and 4 championships, you get in that elite bunch out there of, in all pro categories of who hasn't done that. And, I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy for my team. I'm happy for everybody that's been associated with me. And especially for Mark Stockseth, who's been my partner since we started this in 2007. For us to be able to do that 3 times is pretty awesome. And, but it's just, you just don't even know the feeling. I can't even describe the feeling. I'm still so happy that win light come on my side and not his side. And, we're going to go do it again next year. I really think that we have the bike to do it. And if everything works out right, I got a feeling that we're going to do it again next year. I'm that confident on what our program and the direction that our program's going right now.
Well, based on the performance of the final couple races, the competition certainly has a lot of work to do to catch up to you. Now, you already mentioned a couple of things that I want to, get the, Matt Smith Racing news before we hit the holidays. One, you already said, and we had a conversation at PRI, that Angie is, switching over to what you have been running. And you had, many engines for her, the old stuff. Now she's going to get the new stuff, the current stuff, the stuff that brought you to a championship, correct?
Yes, yeah. We've purchased 2 new cases and heads and all that stuff from S&S to do the new stuff. And we are currently working on getting 2 motors together, for her. And like I said, we purchased a new body from Hector. I'm trying to set her bike up identical to mine, and give her the same exact stuff. So, not only will we have 1 bike that's pretty badass out there next year, hopefully we'll have 2 of them that are badass, And we're also going to get our 3rd bike ready to go in case something happens to one of us. We'll have 3 of the new bodies and all that, ready to go at any time.
There you go. No, that is great stuff. We want to see Angie do well. Also, with the way Denzo sponsoring Angie, but then acting as a safety net for you, really helping you get through. The Denso, boy, did they come up big here in 2018. On board with the 4-wide, coming up with the 200-mile-per-hour club, helping Angie out for the whole season. And, I want to use the word rescuing or, safety net you in your time of need. Like, that was big.
Yeah, Lisa, from Denso, I mean, Denso really supports NHRA with everything. I mean, they have a midway. They pay contingency. I mean, it's just they do so much for our sport. You said it with a 200-mile-an-hour club. People don't even realize how big Denso is. And I'd say the majority of the fans out there, there is some kind of Denso part on your car that you drive every day, whether it's a fuel injector, an alternator, a O2 sensor, spark plugs. It's just amazing how much product and how much stuff that they do for the OEMs, out there. So for them to be involved in our sport and to help me out and bail me out this year, I cannot thank them enough, because I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have this championship if they wouldn't have stepped up and did what they did for me.
That is great stuff. Now, at PRI, talking about sponsorship for 2019, I really think that the day you get steady sponsorship, your performance is going to go in the tank, Matt. You run better when you don't have sponsorship. I'm joking, obviously, but that seems to be the story. Like, you have your back against the wall all the time. But once again, here we are. You're fighting for sponsorship. You're out there looking for this championship bike to be a billboard for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I've had one major sponsor in my whole life of racing, that had the buck to do what I needed to run with the Harley boys, like what they get. And that was Victory. And at that time, Victory wanted to design, they've never been in drag racing, and they wanted to design their own drag bike and all this stuff. And I told them, I said, look, guys, that's not going to be fast. And they go, well, that's what we just want to be out there. And that's where I was at for 2 years with him. We won a race with him, with the Victory Gunner, but it just wasn't fast. And then when they dissipated that brand, I still had another year on my contract, so Polaris took over. And at that time, they were like, we're going to run that same bike. I'm like, gosh, come on, guys, let's change something. Well, we ended up changing two things at one time, and that kind of bit us in the butt. So we developed a new bodywork, which was the bagger for Victory, and, which was way better in the win, and we ran fast with it. We went 199.88, with that body. The problem is we developed a new motor at the same year, and that was last year. And it was like we had so many ups and downs with that thing, and we hurt some parts and pieces and found out where the weak spots were at. So it was a year learning there. And then they were just done with NHRA right now. So I really, really think with the program that I have right now, if a major sponsor comes in, I think that we can really go head-to-head and have some knockdown, drag-out battles with these Harley boys. If somebody would just give us opportunity to show our product and their product to the world.
Wow.
And if we get it, we're going to be hateful, I can tell you. I mean, I've got somebody right now committed that wants to sponsor for 6 to 7 races right now full-time, but I still need somebody else to do the rest, and that's what we're looking for.
Well, that is great. Matt, congratulations. Huge season, huge victory, going on and winning a 3rd Mellow Yellow Pro Stock Motorcycle World Championship. But I did hear that you said you were going to do a little pro stock racing in 2019. Now, that was prior to the championship and all of this stuff going on. Is that still on the table? Are you going to try to switch to some four-wheel cars at some point for your own entertainment in 2019?
That was the plan. We made the announcement. That was the plan for us to do that. And then, as everybody knows, that they always used to race 23 races, and now they're cut back to 18 races. Well, NHRA has this rule that as a pro driver, one of the 4 pro categories, top fuel, funny car, pro stock car, and pro stock bike, you can't run 2 professional categories at the same event. So that basically kicked me out of running the races that we were going to run, because we had picked races to run, those 4 races, and those 4 races that we had planned to run, they're not on schedule no more for Pro Stock Car.
There it is. Bummer.
So we're still trying to work it out to where I think Phoenix and Pomona is the only 2 races right now that I could do. But I don't know. We're talking with the NHRA to see if they'll pass that up a little bit. You know, if there's a field that's short in Pro Stock Car, you know, going into the week before, if we could do that, you know, at the same event, just to help the category out, you know, but I don't know if they'll allow that, but I know Richard's talking to him.
Well, if Richard's talking to him, there's a good chance he'll get it done because that guy is very, what is it, convincing, motivational? What's the story?
He's a salesman.
That too. He is. So true, so true. But, hey, you're the one who convinced him to buy the body. You must be a pretty good salesman too.
Well, you know, they've been on my program for now the last 3 years, you know, helping us out. And, you know, they hone our cylinders for us. And, you know, I mean, I just told him. I told him plainly. I said, I promise you we have big power. I mean, I just knew we did. And he took the gamble, and it paid off. You know, I proved to everybody that, you know, we do have the power.
There it is. No, you proved to everybody you had the power. You had the power. 200, 200, and 201, 22. The final 3 runs down the racetrack in 2018 to win the championship and get the job done. Matt, thank you so much. Congratulations on this season. You did so much. This was a very eventful season, but it ends up in a great fashion with a championship. Thank you for coming on WFO Radio throughout the season and debriefing us on your victories and things that happened over the course of the year. And congratulations on the championship. Have a great Christmas and happy holidays. What do you guys got planned for your holiday season? What are you going to do or not do?
Basically, right now, we're just working away on getting new parts done and ordered and built and, you know, mount new bodies, and we're just working away, just trying to get ready for next year because it'll be here before you know it, Joe, and it'll be time to go test and go make some laps.
Isn't that the truth? Right around the corner. Absolutely. Matt, congratulations. Please say happy holidays, Merry Christmas to Angie as well. Thank you for coming on WFO Radio. Congratulations on your 2018 Mellow Yellow Pro Stock Motorcycle World Championship.
Thank you, Joe, and Merry Christmas to everybody out there, and thanks for having us on.
Matt Smith with us here on WFO Radio. What a great debrief by Matt. And the whole Pro Stock Motorcycle pit is full of great people. Do they all get along? Yeah, mostly. Mostly they get along. But how can you expect everybody who is in intense competition with one another to be all best friends? That's not the way it works. But the conversation I was referencing, I think it happened in Dallas, and we were doing our Mellow Yellow walking tour, and we went, I did a poll with everybody, like, do you want to go see the Pro Stock bikes because they're kind of far away? And everybody said yes. And next thing you know, we got Eddie Krawick and we got Matt Smith kind of teasing each other back and forth. Then Andrew came into the mix, but they're attacking each other while at the same time talking to this group of 30 to 40 people about why they love the category and why that the people should appreciate what's happening. And they did such a great job, and to think that they went down to the final round of the final race. You know, Eddie won last year, won the title, and has had such a great career. Matt goes out there and gets it. And, Matt and Angie are very nice people. And what a year. What a year. Congratulations to Matt Smith. Now we've got Brian McClanahan coming up, our stock eliminator world champion. Going to talk a little bit about his machine. Kevin McKenna. But right now I want to tell you about CatSpotLitter.com. Scott Palmer and that group, CatSpot, coming into the sport, and look what they have been able to do in such a short time. Sponsoring a national event out there at the CatSpot Northwest Nationals, being on the side of Dom Lagana and Jeff Deal and Ricky House, in addition to Scott. Scott making the top 10 again, and a much better season. But the folks at CatSpot, they are aiming to change the way you do this part of your pet-owning business. Because carrying around the big heavy bags, and it's made of clay, and there's a big bag of dust, and it comes out, and all of that goes out the window with CatSpot. Biodegradable, coconuts, more absorbent, better product, easier disposal, shows up at your house. All of these things together make CatSpot the ultimate choice for the cat owner. Now, if you don't have a cat, Magic Dry. It's in the same family, the same similar product, all the great benefits, biodegradable, all that. Magic Dry. Go to catspotlitter.com to find out more information. Of course, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Catspotlitter.com. And 3 years ago, I had never heard of the company. And here 3 years later, CatSpot is growing and out of control growth, and in part because of the NHRA audience out there. And Scott Palmer just pushing it and driving home the point. Great job, Tommy Thompson, Scott Palmer, and catspotlitter.com. Go to the website, pick yourself up some today. All right, when we come back, it's going to be Brian McClanahan, your Stock Eliminator World Champion. And we are almost done with our champions. We have done very good in getting them all. Bellemere, we can get him again because we got him right after the championship, like immediately, right? Sean Bellemere. And Joey Severance. We got to get him on. He's going to hate it. We got to do it, though. We'll be back with Brian McClanahan after this.
It ain't just wide open. It's WFO.
Right now, though, I want to tell you about Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series of sportsman racers in the Racing RV's Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhart always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the block, head, and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Joe Castello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
The Parade of Champions, the Lucas Oil Champions, one of my favorite parts of the season. And we are down to the wire. We've spoken with most of them. Brian McClanahan is going to be next. But right now I want to tell you about HusseyPerformance.net. The folks at Hussey Performance doing a great job out there for racers and engine builders who need copper head gaskets to be absolutely perfect. Go to Hussey, Hussey, performance.net, or give them a call, 724-318-8292. I saw the David Allens out there at the PRI show, and I was over there hanging out, just checking them out, and they had their booth, and the fact is, you know, they're on the championship car in Top Alcohol Funny Car. Bartone Brothers, Sean Bellemere, Hussey is on the side. A great advertisement. But they're out there listening to the show, and they know that we have racers from across the country in all different categories that listen to this program. And maybe your engine isn't apart right now, or maybe it is apart right now during the off season, and you might need some new copper head gaskets. Well, why not go with Hussey? They've got nearly 40 years of experience in the copper industry. They know exactly where and how to buy copper. The tightest tolerances, we're talking about half of 1 thou, half a thousandth of an inch. It doesn't take long, typically less than a week, to get custom-made quality copper head gaskets. For you nitro racers or pro mod guys, you can get the exact compression ratio you're looking for because they make gaskets in increments of 1/1000th of an inch. So whether it be a nitro burning Hemi, a turbocharged pro mod, a tractor pull engine, or 5 of them, is that the max? Is it 5 or is it 6? What is the most? I need to know that. Hussey Performance makes the gaskets. Call David Allen. He's got a great thing that he does, meaning he personally inspects every single gasket that they ship. 724-318-8292. That's 724-318-8292. And when you call that number, you're going to get him. And you can talk to him about what you need, what you're looking for, what you want to do, maybe something experimental. They can do it. And boy, do they have some really cool little keychains, too, made out of old copper head gaskets. Kind of a cool deal. David Allen out of Ambridge, Pennsylvania. And, oh, by the way, one more thing that's important to me and hopefully is important to you. Everything, including their machines, are all made in America. American workers. Great stuff. 724-318-8292, HusseyPerformance.net. All right, back into it with our parade of Lucas Oil champions. Time to get into it with our stock eliminator world champion for 2018, Brian McClanahan. Brian, welcome to WFO Radio. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Joe?
I am great. We're all getting geared up for the holidays. I got to tell you, you're one of the final champions of 2018. We've been very efficient here and champions every week. I am super excited to speak with you, however, because I love your car, frankly. Simple as that. You have one of the coolest cars out there at any given national event.
Well, that's good to hear because some people, love it and some people think it's kind of plain.
Well, because it's white, but it pulls the tires like 5 feet in the air, and it's one of the quicker cars out there. So, I mean, the fact that you can be so consistent with a car that's on the back bumper every round, that's amazing.
Well, I think it actually helps being consistent. By the higher you go, I think the more consistent it is because you have so much torque that, you want to get the weight out as far back as you can in that critical point of the track.
100% weight transfer? Is that what they call that?
Well, pretty close to it. Unless you do it too much, and then you pick the back end off the ground.
There it is, right. You don't want to unload the chassis. We're talking about AA stock automatic for those of you out there. And you've seen Brian's car, guaranteed. And get real for the people out there who are listening who are tuned in to hear about the nitro categories. And we have many of those each week on the podcast, but just give us the general specs of your car, including approximate best ET in mile per hour.
Well, it's a ZL1 all aluminum 427 with a 3-speed. It makes about 700 horsepower, and it's best ET is in the 940 range and best mile hours in the 139 range.
Wow! So absolute top of the food chain Camaro muscle car.
For an older car, yes. About as fast as you can go in an older car.
That is great stuff. All right, so let's go back to the start of the 2018 season. Were you chasing points last year, or how did 2017 end off for you? I have found in speaking with our champions that very often a near miss or a good season or something that happened in 2017 is the catalyst to a great season in 2018. How about you? What was 2017 like? What did you do?
Well, 2017 was the first national event I ever won in Sonoma. And then I came back the very next weekend and won the divisional there. So that kind of started the ball rolling for this year. So it's very similar to other people you talk to.
You were able to get some success. There you go.
Right. Yeah. And then the fact that we kind of hit the same tracks again with exactly the same setup, that really made a difference in this year.
Were you going out to win the championship? Like some people set that goal for themselves, even though it is a lofty goal, like, hey, we're going to run points. But the other style seems to be like make a schedule, hit some races, see how it goes. And if it goes well, then pursue the championship.
No, I never really had a goal to win the championship. I've always wanted to be in the top 10. That's kind of the goal of mine. And we race for fun. So we just hit all the tracks that we can that are as close to our house as possible.
Now, when you say we, you come from a racing family. Your father and son had both won world championships, and you make the third in a family to have world championships, which to me, that's just awesome and pure insanity all at the same time. Had they ever given you trouble for not having had a world championship?
Just jokingly, I guess, but, more so than not my family, but my friends and stuff. They always say, well, talent looks like the talent has skipped a generation, but, just in good-hearted fun.
Yeah, good-hearted fun, but still, that's a burn. I can't believe they're getting after you.
Well, I always consider myself more of a crew man, a crew chief, if you will, than a driver. So, when my son won, to me, that's the same thing as me winning. I try really hard on his cars and for him to win, that's good enough for me.
Well, that's a great dad talking right there, and I'm sure your dad was pretty proud when you won as well. Let's start off with Phoenix. Early on in the season, you were able to go out there at the National and have a good performance, and then at the Divisional, you were able to bring it home. And so hot starts are very common in championship seasons. Not always, but often we see someone that comes out of the box, a couple of wins or strong performances, get motivated. Like, man, all right, we already got something on the board early on, and that seems to be the case with you.
Yeah, we were able to get a runner-up, and I think I had a 3,000 red light at the National, and then came back and won the next weekend, and that started the ball rolling. But even after that, I really wasn't thinking championship. We ended up going to the very next race, and I believe that was Vegas, and I know at Vegas that we ended up blowing up the motor. So, it went right back to, okay, well, we're just going to start all over here and have to, put in a totally different motor with totally different setup. So, even though it was a hot start, it still wasn't on my mind to be even in the top 10 at that point.
Switching out the engine, that is the kind of thing that can sideline people. And you guys hustled it in, hustled it out, got right back out there, and were able to dial in that combination pretty rapidly.
Well, the biggest problem was that the motor that came in was one that we'd been working on it for about 2 years. My engine builder being Daryl Weichel. He gave me a really, really good motor compared to the one that was in the car, and it took a lot of detuning to get it to work right. It made about 20 more horsepower and about 20 more pounds of torque, and it took a different converter and different rear gear and, just different tire pressure, just a bunch of different stuff to get it going. But we spent a couple weekends at Fontana testing it and got it down, and, it seemed to work really well for the rest of the year.
And there you go. Now, back into the winner's circle at Sonoma, correct? And so that was back-to-back seasons. That place had been very good to you, and that looks like where things got going again.
Yeah, I think I need to move up towards Northern California from Southern. That track's been really good to me. It seems like every time I go there, even going back to 5-6 years ago with my Superstock car, got a couple runner-ups, not a win, but a couple runner-ups in that car, and I didn't do any good all year long in that car, but I go there and I do good. I don't know what it is about that track. I guess some people just have those tracks,
They do. And, Justin Lamb's got Vegas, and he finished second. We'll talk about that momentarily. As the season is moving along and you're realizing now, man, we're putting together a pretty strong season here. You had good runs up in Salt Lake, and things are falling in place. Late in the season, down in Dallas, had to get it done on Monday. That can throw people off, just totally changing the way the event flows, but you were able to capitalize.
Well, for me, the Monday was actually a little bit better than on Sunday. I don't seem to do very good at the national events, but this one was almost like running a divisional. We showed up Monday, and it was a real surprise to me to go out there, and the tree was totally changed back to the divisional tree, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, well, this is just like a divisional. So for me, it was a little bit better. running on Monday. It was a little time consuming because we started on, I think we got there Tuesday and we ended up leaving on Monday, so a little longer than we wanted, but the results were great.
So worth it, another win. Now, at this point, take me through what you're thinking about, what people are talking about regarding the championship, because you're in the mix with, Justin Lamb, and Jeff Taylor had a shot throughout the latter parts of the season. If he goes there, then we may have to go. Were your friends keeping you up on it? Were you keeping up on it? What was the championship talk like late in the season?
Well, at that point, I was in first place, which, I'd already accomplished my goal of being top 10 for sure. And I think there was 4 or 5 different people, not just Taylor and Lamb. You had Fletcher was really close, and you had, I think it was Jeff Lopez was really close. And there was a couple other guys that had a good chance. And there was still more races to go, but we're thinking, well, Lamb's going to Vegas at his home track, and it seems like he wins every time he goes there. So, just hope for the best. And we had 3 more opportunities to improve on points, which was Vegas, Pomona. And really wasn't too concentrated on what they were doing. I was just trying to keep my focus, keep my routine, and keep the lights coming and keep the dial in right and control what I can control, and hope for the best.
Good advice right there. All right, so when it happened, when you went from a driver to a champion, tell me about that moment. Where were you? Set the scene. Maybe you're sitting on the, sitting in the bleachers. We had one of those stories already this year. I was watching. But what was yours?
Well, ours was really weird because they called us all up, and it was a huge field at that divisional. I think it was 120-something cars. And so there was a bottleneck at the back of the lanes, and my plan was to go up and run before Lamb so that I could put the pressure on him, more or less. And, and Lamb's always going up last, and I'm usually going up last as well, but we were almost trying to do the same thing. And he got up there in front of me, and at that point, I'm like, well, I was blocked in the back. I couldn't get in line. And once I got in line, I was probably 10, 15 pair behind him. So, I'm in the lanes, and I'm waiting for him, trying to listen to the PA and what the results are and checking my tires and stuff. And then as I start climbing in the car and buckling up, and then I see everybody start running towards my car, and I kind of figured out, I think I just won. So it was a really just an awesome moment, pulling up in the lanes, over and opening the doors, trying to give me congratulations and stuff. But at the same time, I had an opponent that I had to race, in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and trying to keep my focus there too. We were still trying to win.
Did you win?
So it was just, I did win that round. Yeah, I did win that round. They made a big deal about it. It brought me down, stopped the whole class in the middle of it, and made a presentation. It was really, really a special moment.
Wow. Well, they do it first class out there in Vegas. This is the, Vegas, Pomona. Everybody talks about that second Vegas divisional as, one of the greatest drag races on the planet, just in terms of everything. So many championships are decided. But when you think about who you beat now, obviously we talked about your dad and your son, championships already. Now the whole family that drag races, you got dad, you and your son all have championships. But the way you did it, beating last year's champ, Justin Lamb, who was second by 1 point, beating a multi-time champ, Jeff Taylor, Jeff Lopez, Thomas Fletcher, Slate Cummings, Jeff Strickland, Joe Sorensen, Ryan Mangus, and Jody Lang. That's the top 10 of the year you won. Outside of the top 10, Jimmy Hidalgo, Anthony Fetch, Brad Burton, Leo Glassbrenner. Like, everybody that made the list is somebody great in the championship season that you won.
Yeah, and you could just keep going down that list. I mean, there's so many good racers out there in stock Eliminator that anybody can win, and I'm proof of that. Anybody can win a championship. If I can win it, anybody can do it. And those guys are great, but there's a lot of guys that you didn't mention that are just as great as them.
Oh, yeah. So true. So true. And so you won the title, and, has it sunk in? Everybody says it takes a couple of weeks. I always like to wait a few weeks to give it that time. You wake up every day, you go to work, whatever you do, but things are different. Now you're a champion.
Yeah, I think it's sunk in because, believe it or not, this morning my painter showed up to put the number 1 on the car. That's when it kind of really sunk in. So we're doing that up today, and I think it actually gets a little sweeter with time. You
Wow.
know, for me anyway.
No vinyl. You go and paint.
Oh yeah, we do it old school over here. We do we do hand letter, and we're doing gold leaf #1 on the car.
Do you have any pictures you can share with us that we can include with this interview for the WFO audience? Please send them.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, we'll exchange information afterwards. I think that is great. I love the timing of it, and that is a moment. Like, the audience needs to know that that's got to be, you know, we see the Top Fuel and Funny Car guys, when they get to put the #1 on the car, that's a big moment, and you are experiencing that here today.
Yeah, 8 o'clock this morning. The guy started on the car. He should be done by the time I get home from work, and I'd be happy to share that with you. But you know, that's really it's sunk in, but you know, now it's ingrained in me, and it's just really cool.
It is so cool. It is cool. Now, what about 2019? Are you going to go back out and run the same schedule? And you know, who knows what will happen? Sometimes these things come in bunches. You know, more importantly, you know, what are your plans for 2019?
2019, we're going to kind of take it one race at a time. We'll see how it goes, and then change the schedule accordingly. But the plans are to run the same cars that we had last year, and I'm building a new car right now, and hopefully it's done sometime around April. It's a 2019 Copo, and bring that out and try to make it as good as what I got, and we'll see. We may race it in stock, and then again we might not. We might just race it in super stock, but that's our plans. We're gonna run all the West Coast stuff and all the West Coast divisionals, and try to get top 10. That's the goal.
That is awesome. Brian, I wish you great congratulations on this World Championship in the Lucas Oil Series. I think it is awesome. The car is awesome. You know, it's what a drag race car should be. Let me ask you, though, while I got you, your expertise, you know, now as a champion. You mentioned something early on. It's really fast for one of the old cars. And, of course, you know, old technology versus new technology. The new stuff is faster. But I hear a lot of stock Eliminator racers maybe, and now you have both. So you're the perfect guy to ask. Lament the way it's going. Like, some of the older cars are being pushed by the wayside because they're what? You know, they're not able to keep up. Like, give me your lay of the land, like what's happening in stock Eliminator with the old classics and the new technology kind of fighting for the same spot.
Well, I think from a bracket racing standpoint, it's always better to chase, and you can't chase a new Copo in an old car. It's just because of the ETs that they run. And you know, me building a new car, I'm just doing it because I thought it'd be really cool. You know, it's the 50th anniversary of the Camaro, and they're all the ZL1 is what they call them, the supercharged car. And my car is a ZL1 69. So those two cars are what the whole thing's about this year. So that's the reason I started building it, and I just wanted to do that. I don't see an advantage other than chasing to a new car. I think an older car is a little bit more consistent than a newer car. So that kind of balances out everything. So it just all depends on what you're doing. But my idea was just to build it because of that, you know, that being the 50th anniversary and just wanting to do something different. I've had this car for 9-10 years now, and you know, it's time for a little bit, you know, something new to do.
Oh, I love it. The true the drag racers motto, you know, create problems for themselves to solve, which I love it. Brian, congratulations on your championship, bringing another one home to the family. What do you got planned for the holidays?
Well, we do a bunch of Christmas stuff in our front yard, and our whole street does. So we'll be around the neighborhood here and trying to deal with what I call my mini Disneyland in the front yard. Got a train going, and a 30-foot tall tree, and a Ferris wheel, and a carousel, and all kinds of stuff going on, and you know, just trying to man my little Disneyland.
There it is. I love it. You like the Griswolds in Christmas Vacation. I love it.
Yeah, been called Clark many times.
Brian, congratulations on your 2018 Lucas Oil Championship. Thank you for coming on the WFO Radio podcast, sharing it with us. Enjoy your holidays. Thank you for spending the time. Yeah, send me that number, and we'll put it out with this interview. I think it is great. But most importantly, The championship that you won, the heaviest of hitters were chasing your tail, but they could not catch you. You are the champ. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Brian McClanahan with us here on WFO Radio, your stock eliminator world champ. That high-flying 69 Camaro ZL1. It's got an aluminum block. How awesome is that car? It is cool as possible. And he's going to send us a photograph so you can see the number 1 on the window. No vinyl. No vinyl. They're going to paint it, baby. Old school. I love it. I think it is very cool and just a great year of stock eliminator racing. See, I'll tell you this. I genuinely believe that, if you just focused on stock, that would make a great TV show. They would make a great TV show. All right, when we come back, you're going to hear from NHRA National Dragsters Kevin McKenna and Krista Baldwin going to be on the show. Going to hear from Krista. She has made a big purchase. Got Anthony DeCero's Nitro University A Fueler now under her ownership, and it's got big plans for the future, and we're going to speak with the Greekette on the show at the tail end of the show during my time. And get in on that. I'm very excited about Krista being on the show. But right now I want to tell you about motorsportsguys.com. Your next oil change, when you're going to do it. Don't, go out and lug some stuff around. Go to motorsportsguys.com and get yourself some Amalie motor oil, better than it has to be since 1903. They've got 2050, 1030, 520. They've got all different weights. But now you can get the filters as well. They got Molly filters. They got Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants. They got All-Star Performance Racing and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive, where Terry's car was at PRI. You can get K&N air filters. You can get all of this now at motorsportsguys.com and many other things as well. You got to get on there and look. But, of course, it used to be AmalieStore.com, and you can get Amalie motor oil there as well. The new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly, used by so many professional drag racers because Pro stands for Professional Racing Oil. This is the oil that powered Terry McMillan to the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals victory, and I believe 6 other final rounds in the 2018 season. A lot of the racers out there use Amalie, and certainly they are the title sponsor of the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. We're going to be talking with K-Mac about that just moments from now. Go to motorsportsguys.com, motorsportsguys.com. Bookmark the site. Put it on the front page of your phone. The next time you need something, you just open that and go right to it. And you can get that Vegas Win Tribute hat also by using the promo code WFO. At checkout, the hat will be free. You just add it and then WFO, and you do the deal, and you know how to do it. All right, when we come back, Kevin McKenna will join us from NHRA National Dragster. Exciting. And then at the tail end of the show, Krista Baldwin, the Greekette, will tell us. She's, diving into the deep end of the pool. I love it.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one. Honest. Listen.
Hey, WFO radio listeners, if you're in the northern part of the country, I know you're freezing right now. You know what would be great? A hot cup of Rodax coffee. Maybe a little hot sauce, a little spice rub for that food you're cooking in the oven. Check out RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. They've got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus custom blends like Bang the Blower and WFO Radio. Their coffee represents the top 5% of coffee grown throughout the world, and it's all roasted fresh per order. They've got limited edition, seasonal, and rare micro lots. They've got exotics. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or just pick up the phone, 817-924-6821. Keep your ear out for those WFO holiday packs. Depends on the holiday what the deal is, but Marvin is wheeling and he is dealing. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
You've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time now, and you hear these racers all talking about how much they spend, how much they travel, how hard they work, all to accelerate really, really quickly. Well, Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has figured a way for you to do it at a fraction of the price, the work, the effort, the time. It is a fun experience. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com and investigate. No ride along. You drive it. You are the driver. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more and tell them you heard it on WFO. Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radial. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Let's keep on trucking, baby. The holidays are right around the corner. The final week of NHRA Nitro live here on WFO Radio. Kevin McKenna from NHRA National Dragster queuing up, but right now I want to tell you about Aerospace Components. Go to aerospacecomponents.com or give them a call, 727-347-9915. Made in America for over 30 years. The Tampa Bay area facility has got state-of-the-art CNC machine centers and inspection equipment. We're talking about shifters. We're talking about brakes. We're talking about just about anything made out of billet. They do pedal sets for the new Mustangs, all kinds of great stuff, including the titanium wave brake rotor for their Aerospace Components brake kits, and it saves about half the weight. Only 2.4 pounds. Really, really cool. Go to aerospacecomponents.com to find out more. Give Kim Cussey and the team a call, 727-347-9915, and be sure to check out their YouTube show, Kimmy's Garage, at aerospacecomponents.com. Very cool stuff. All right, here he is, as promised, from NHRA National Dragster. It's been a minute since we heard from him last. That guy came at Kevin McKenna. Kevin, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Joe. How's everything in sunny South Florida?
Sunny South Florida is beautiful. It's, 68 degrees or something. It is absolutely perfect. But it sounds like, from the background noise, that you are out there seeing the mall Santa, asking him for all the things that you want this year.
Nah, the only thing I want is a break from Christmas shopping. I'm like most guys, wait till the last minute, and we're getting there, so kind of inevitable at this point.
So true, so true. May I recommend some of our great WFO radio sponsors? But no, it's fun, and nowadays with the mail order, of course, I guess tickets to the 50th Gator Nationals are probably top of the list for most people.
I would think so, because based on everything, both I've heard and the internal discussions at NHRA, that may well be. I think we're gearing up for one of the greatest national events of all time. I know there's a lot of special things planned. You don't get 50th events too many times. We've only had two, Indy and Pomona, and it is going to be it's going to be an amazing show. And I think I don't care where you are in the world, you've got time to plan a trip and get there.
So true, and a new track surface as well. That is one that has been, on my mind for a while. I know you. Back in the days of Southeast Dragster, spent a lot of time there. This was a record-setting track, and in the past, 10, 15 years or so, we didn't see too many records there because of some challenges getting the power to the ground. Well, that is going to be a thing of the past. How exciting.
Yeah, and I guess you lose sight of the fact that the track surface is 20-plus years old, and, obviously they do deteriorate from time to time, and, yeah, that's another exciting thing that if we get typical Gainesville weather combined with a new track, you may see all kinds of amazing things down there.
Yeah, I am super excited. And I'm hoping for a 3-day sellout and a mob scene and just a fun time for everybody at that event the next time the NHRA is on the East Coast. So, Kevin, I want your thoughts, generally. I kind of want to open it up to you and see what's on your mind. My whole past couple of weeks has really been focused on, I'm so blown away by the Steve Torrance Capco Perfect Countdown. I think that is one of the single greatest achievements by a team in all of motorsports, frankly, certainly in NHRA drag racing, certainly the story of the year. But there were a lot of other cool things that went on in 2018. And without leading you too much, I wonder what's at the top of your mind for our audience.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, as you mentioned, what Steve Torrance did is amazing. It's funny, not to diminish that by anything at all. But when you look at what Tony Schumacher did the year he won 15 events, he won, I believe at one point he won 9. He didn't sweep the countdown. I think he won 9 of 10. So, I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. They were both fantastic campaigns. But I guess to your point, there's, you look at the domination shown by Torrance this year, but we still had, I believe 11 different Top Fuel winners, 8 or 9 different funny car winners. The competitiveness and the parity is still there, which I think is a big, big reason why NHRA has done so well with, 9 sellouts and continued interest in TV and broadcasting. It's, I think it's a great time to be involved in the sport.
Absolutely. Absolutely, especially when compared to everything else out there. Not just motorsports, everything, as we're seeing this big shift to, digital and online and devices, and audiences are fractured. Who's getting their information from Twitter all the time. Drag racing's doing pretty well.
It is, and I think it's only going to get better. I mean, I think, each year the technology gets a little better, a little more accessible, and we're probably not too far off from where, actually you can do it now, but using your phone, you can get video, data, information from any race anywhere on the planet. And, obviously 20 years ago, that's something you couldn't even imagine.
No, not even. Well, when the iPhone came around, that really changed things fundamentally. One of the great inventions of our time. A lot of changes going on in the crew chiefing world. A lot of behind the scenes and silly season stuff. Joe Barlam going back to Bob Vandergriff Racing and did very well there early on before that team shut down. Bob Tasca now has Mike Green co-crew chiefing along with Eric Lane. A lot of maneuvering, but the big pieces of the puzzle have either yet to be announced or yet to fall into place.
That's true. Go ahead.
No, just that I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, obviously we're maybe only halfway through this silly season, but we have this every year. I think it's incumbent upon a team to do everything you can to better yourself in the off season. So if there's somebody available who can help you, then it's kind of your responsibility to go after them. And I think that's a prime example of what Bob Tasca has done, where Bob had a pretty solid season, but he didn't win a race, and I know that's something he's really, really desperate to fix in 2019. So adding Mike Green is probably a great piece to the puzzle, and it's going to be a great deal, I think.
Oh, totally agree. And yeah, you got to try to make yourself better, and you got to do whatever you think it takes to make yourself better. David Grubnick being out there, of course, a lot of rumors. Where he's going to land, and I think everybody kind of has a feeling about that. It's just yet to be announced. Some people want to wait till after the holidays and get all the focus of attention.
Yeah, I guess we don't. There's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of I think balls still in the air that haven't been decided. I would think though that after the first of the year, you're going to see, two of the bigger teams. You're going to see John Force and Don Schumacher both make major announcements concerning their team.
Very, very cool.
And I guess I'll leave your fans to determine what those might be. At this point, it's still a lot of rumors. I think there's some things that aren't finalized, but I do think you're going to see big news out of both camps.
Well, we are certainly hoping for some big news for Tony Schumacher and his team. And, right now it's the rumor phase, and that's a big part of it, the designed rollout of big news. Let's talk a little bit about Pro Stock, K-Mac, the 18-race season, something that initially a lot of people were upset about. Like, it's going to kill the category, but anecdotally so far, it looks like we have more people who are maybe going to run the full season now because of the 18-race season. How do you see it all playing out?
Well, you're absolutely right. We have added a couple cars since that rule. And if you look at it, a shorter schedule works for Pro Stock Motorcycle. It works for Pro Mod. It is currently working for Factory Stock. And so you have to ask yourself, should those guys really be going to 24 events? And if you ask most of the teams, in fact, probably 90% of them, that they're in favor of the shorter schedule. So, it's kind of it's a little bit of a two-edged sword, because if you're a fan in a market that doesn't have pro stock, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. But I think there's probably a plan maybe to rotate some of those events from time to time. And with all the things that we brought in, like Nitro Harleys and factory stock and Pro Mod, it doesn't matter what event you go to, there's still plenty to see.
So true. And I just want to see a good pro stock field with a couple of Mustangs and some smack-talking racers that have a little fun with it and, don't take it too seriously, even though they're trying to win. What about David Rampy? 100 wins. As great as he is, the milestone, held him up a little bit. We've seen Fletcher and now Rampy get up on that milestone and really struggle to break through, but he finally broke through and put that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and honestly, you look at the next, well, as far as Rampy, I mean, his greatness is amazing. The career he's had, and I actually loved on NHRA, I believe it was on NHRA's Twitter account, they posted a video of David winning the 100th at the end of this year, but also they had video from the 1983 Cajun Nationals when he won his first event, and I'd never seen that before. I wasn't even sure it existed. But he's driving a Pontiac GTO and Superstock J Automatic. It's really cool to see both how far the cars and the tracks and everything has come, and David has come in since 1983. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Well, the longevity is just insanity. Like, who lasts that long in anything, let alone at the top of the game?
Yeah, and back to your point of 100 wins. You've got Greg Anderson sitting on, I believe, 91. You have a couple other guys that might get there. But as far as the next sportsman racer to do it, it's going to be a long, long time, because, even the greats like, Peter Biondo and Edmund Richardson, they're only hovering around 50. Justin Lamb, who's great, is in the high 20s, but is he going to race enough to ever get there? I mean, we're talking, probably 10, 15 years before you even have that discussion. So this is a milestone we should probably celebrate, because we may not see it again anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. And Rambo, one of the greats, but also a great person. And I think that is what, not that it sets him apart, because we have a lot of great people, but, the level of, humility. He's such a humble man, and he handles it so well. It's all aw shucks, except in there's tremendous talent.
Yeah. David is Exhibit A for the fact that good things happen to good people. He really is, and I think anyone who's ever met him pretty much has the same take. He is one of the most honorable, humble people I've ever known.
Yeah, that is great stuff. Happy to see him do it, by the way, and get beyond it. Samtech Factory Stock Showdown 2018. Looking back, we saw the 7-second passes. We saw Leah Pritchett and El Bandito go on and win the championship, really dominating the last couple of races of the season. And the category really took center stage, certainly amongst the hardcore fans. Looking back on the season of Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, it's hard to not be optimistic about the category.
No, it is. And actually, wandering around the PRI show a couple weeks ago, ran into Brian Lones and also Brian Massengill from Samtech. And we had a little bit of a discussion, and between the three of us, we could pretty much tab about 6 or 7 new entries that we expect to see next season, including some high-profile teams that haven't been announced. So that class is growing, and it's fantastic. But I think the key here is what NHRA has done is really made an effort to manage the growth, which is why they're only going to 8 events this year, not 10 or 12 or 15. It's really, I think you're trying to look at what happened to Pro Stock and say, hey, where did we go wrong there? And let's make sure that doesn't happen again. So I think what you're going to see is the tech department be very tight on rules. You might see frequent adjustments if need be, all in the name of parity. And, you still have great interest from all 3 manufacturers. And, it very much is like the 60s where they're kind of pulling out all the stops to make these cars as fast as possible. And I think, NHRA's position is to be referee and make sure that it's a fair shake for all 3 brands. It's a challenge, but I think it's what will ultimately sustain the class long term.
No, agreed, and it has been a lot of fun. I am looking forward to seeing some of those teams. Obviously, we know the Mountain View team and Bo is going to try to be out there, but there are others. And that's exciting to see a category that is growing and certainly has interest. Plus, right there with that 7-second barrier, occasional cars running in the 7s. I think that's always good when the fans can tell, a big run just happened very easily.
And incidentally, based on some of the things I've heard, as far as performance and some of the new combinations that are coming out, we had, obviously Leah went in the 7s last year, and we had the Watson car go 174 miles an hour. I think those numbers will be crushed, especially even in Gainesville early in the year if we have any kind of decent weather. I think you're probably looking at 780s, and it would not surprise me in the least to see one of those cars go 180 miles an hour. If what I'm hearing as far as horsepower numbers and performance is true, I think they've just scratched the surface of what those cars are capable of.
Wow. You got me excited there, Kevin, right there. 180 mile per hour, 9-inch wide stock Eliminator car is pretty awesome.
It is, but, we've seen some people say, God, can you really do that on a 9-inch tire? But we've seen cars go a lot faster on a lot smaller tire. You look at the drag radial world, you have cars going well over 200 on a tiny tire. And the people who drive those cars say the beauty of them is that they are very stable. Aerodynamically, they're great. As far as balance, they're fine to drive. They steer well. They stop well. So I don't have any concerns whatsoever about them running those kind of numbers.
That is great to hear as well. You mentioned Brian Loans, of course, great friend and very exciting. The move to the lead announcer role in the Fox broadcast booth. Just the possibilities are endless. The guy is, maybe more passionate about drag racing than you, K-Mac. What do you say?
It's hard to believe, but I believe guilty as charged. Brian is an amazing individual. I don't know that I've ever met anyone that well-rounded where he seems to know everyone. He's hard to stump. If you bring up some obscure piece of trivia, he's probably already on it. If you're heard about some new project that's coming out, you go, oh yeah, I knew about that 6 weeks ago. So yeah, he's a very connected individual, and NHRA is lucky to have him. And I'm glad that they're utilizing him. He's obviously going to have a huge prominent role in TV, but he's also said that when time allows, he'll still be in the announcing booth, and he still stays busy with his side projects. So good for him. I say get it while you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. And just something else to be excited for in the 2019 season. And great stuff. All right, final thoughts, Kevin, in that, we got the opportunity to look back at a season that was. We got an opportunity to look ahead at the season that will be. With your final thought here of 2018, which do you choose?
Let's look ahead. There's just too many good things happening out there in the world now to look, even beyond NHRA and the great season they had. Attendance is up there. There's so many different varieties of racing now. It doesn't matter what your thing is, whether it's grudge racing, nostalgia racing, NHRA, motorcycles. It's all out there. It doesn't matter where you live in this country. You probably don't have to go far to find it. And the people who say that we're not a car culture anymore and kids aren't into cars, that's hogwash. I see kids all the time that have Mustangs and Camaros or even import cars, and they all want to hot rod them just the same way we did. It's a little bit different. The culture is a little different now, but the thought process is the same. And obviously the popularity of shows like Street Outlaws prove that. And it's just a matter. I think the big push you're going to see is to try to connect with those people and to make sure they get to the racetrack. And next I'll give you one real quick thing. We saw there was an announcement from Dodge that anyone who buys one of the 1320 Challengers gets their NHRA membership paid for by Dodge. They're like, how cool is that? To buy one of these cars, and next thing you know, you're an NHRA member. You can go race. You're going to get National Dragster. So I would look to that to maybe cultivate a whole new generation of fans. And I would also expect that maybe not on a national level, maybe more on a dealer level, but I think you'll see other brands maybe follow suit and either, who says, if you buy a new Mustang, shouldn't you maybe get a tech car to your local track to go run it? to me, it makes perfect sense to me. So I think that's the direction we're going, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, I love that, and I agree. I can't help but think of all the local dealership tie-ins, gold card to your local track for a year if you buy one of these cars. Why not? Great idea. Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Also, you neglected to mention this was the year that your personal Mustang broke into the 10s, and you had some great success with that as well.
Yeah, and that actually goes to my point of this sport being for anyone. I've been involved my whole life, but I've never really seriously raced. And this year I just decided to build this car, which we did on a budget. And, got fortunate to have some success in the NMRA series. Also did Drag Week and really did it for not a whole lot of money and just had a tremendous amount of fun. And I am probably a textbook example of if I can do it, anybody can do it.
There you have it. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show, not just now, especially the first half of the year. We spoke with you a lot. I appreciate that. Your wealth of knowledge and fun guy, too. I appreciate you coming on and entertaining our audience and, hanging out with you at the track here in 2018. It was a great time. I look forward to the future.
Same here. Happy to do it anytime. And Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Thank you so much. All the best to Jill as well. Tell Santa we said hello.
Will do.
There he goes, Kevin McKenna from NHRA National Dragster, NHRA.com, the sports report. But right now you should be following him on Twitter, that guy K-Mac, for a lot of breaking news and when all the crew chief stuff starts happening and going down or continues to happen. Follow him at that guy K-Mac. Kevin McKenna. All right, I've been teasing it a little bit because I wasn't sure it was happening. Like we were working on something. And in my time, the final segment of the show each week, this week we're going to delve into one of the future stars of the sport of NHRA drag racing, Krista Baldwin, making a big move out there. She is the Greekette, the granddaughter of Chris Karamessinis, and she went out there and made a purchase, basically bought Anthony DeCero's car and operation as Anthony is moving on to help Justin Ashley and that team as they go for a Lucas Oil World Championship in 2019. And so Krista decides she's going to buy this vehicle, and we're going to hear all about it. So we looked backward at 2018 with Matt Smith and Brian McClanahan. We looked both directions with Alan Reinhart and our great friend Kevin McKenna. And now we're going to look strictly forward. We're going to look both ways with Krista Baldwin coming up. But right now I want to tell you about samtech.edu for those of you kids out there, young people looking forward and thinking about your futures. Look, start your education at full speed. We say it every week, but the fact of the matter is they got blockhead CNC programs. They've got Motorsport EFI. They've got an Associate of Applied Science degree. They've expanded the campus, and you can work on race cars. The cars are the curriculum, not some car that's sponsored. We say that every time when a Samtech car comes up. These are the cars that the students work on. I've been to the campus. I've seen everybody going through their programs, and it is just amazing the youthful energy surrounding the whole operation. Most importantly, to me, of course, they do the GI Bill, and they can help you get financial aid, all of that. But for me, the thing that really puts it over the top is the fact that they are connected to future employers. People like Boeing. I keep throwing that name out there because it's not racing. It's not racing. It's just advanced manufacturing is what it is. And the folks at Samtech can help you get into that area. Go to samtech.edu. Give them a call and tell them you heard about it on WFO radio. If you were to go on and become a student and have a great career, I would want to know about it. 713-683-3817. Brian Massengill, Linda, the whole family over there is doing a great job. And really, I can't overstate it. They're doing good stuff for themselves, for the sport of drag racing, for the students, and for the United States of America. These are the kind of jobs that cannot be outsourced or taken away. Machinists are rare right now. CNC machinists are in demand right now. And where do you learn that stuff? Samtech.edu. Motorsport EFI, another great course that they have. Check them out. Go to samtech.edu. today. All right, when we come back, we're going to check in with Krista Baldwin, the Greekette, during my time. Final segment of the show. Final segment after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Oh, the sound of a tiny kitten. How great is that? Maybe you should get one. But then, what are you going to do about the litter box? The only downside to having a cat. The litter box, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the litter box? And the answer is catspotlitter.com. The folks at CatSpot have developed something new. Their litter is made with one simple ingredient, and that's coconut. It has no harmful allergens, no chemicals for your feline friend or you, because you got to get in there. CatSpot is 100% all natural. It's both odor eliminating and hypoallergenic. It's made right here in America, and the best part about it is they support NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing on the side of Scott Palmer's car, guys like Dom Lagana, guys like Joe Castello and WFO Radio. That guy is awful. CatSpotLitter.com. You got to check it out. New supporter of WFO Radio.
Download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market. Search WFO Radio and download it now.
Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets. You got to call David directly. 724-318-8292. Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
This is Jeff Rice, a.k.a. Deep and Hot. I just want to let you know that NHRA Nitro is probably the best coverage of NHRA drag racing, period. How can you not like a 3.5-hour broadcast with all the winners specifically for drag racing? WFO rules the airwaves.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, NHRA Nitro. Don't forget, between Christmas and New Year's, of course, we're going to have the best of, but the archive is loaded, and it's great every year. Everybody goes searching through there and checking it out, and it is just really cool to go back and pick races and see what drivers were thinking after certain moments and all that. I highly recommend you do it. It is going to be great. Great year, really. Met a lot of cool new people like the folks at Hangstifer's Laboratories and Hangstifer's Metalworking Lubricants. Open a browser. Look, if you work in a machine shop, you're always doing using various cutting lubricants, etc., with machines. Their whole goal is to make you more efficient. Make you more efficient, make you safer, have the process work faster. And so if you are in that environment, check out the folks at Hangstifer's and see if they can help you out. PRI was a smash hit as far as I can tell. Went over there, saw Tommy Johnson, saw Antron Brown, the Sackmans, everybody hanging out. It is often said that Hangstifer's is the one thing that DSR and JFR both have in common. And it is so true how the folks at Hangstifer's have really dived into the sport of NHRA drag racing and racing in a big way. I jumped in the reaction time simulators, the half-scale dragsters they had out there, and battled against Matt Sackman and lost, but it was a fun battle. It was a good, decent battle. He beat me pretty badly, actually, but that's okay. I've got a rematch already scheduled for some point in the distant future, far off. But go to Hangstefers.com, check out the product. If you have a machine shop, if you're in there and you're in the situation where you're doing a lot of cutting of metal, if you are working with machines, they can definitely make the process faster and more efficient. That is their whole goal. They've got great customer service all around the planet, all around the country. So check them out, Hangstefers.com. So the final segment, I'm going to turn it over to a friend of the show, and she has taken a big step in the 2019 season. She is known as the Greekette. Krista Baldwin has acquired the Nitro University A-Fuel Dragster from Anthony DeCero, and she joins us now. Krista, welcome to WFO. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited for the holiday. I'm excited for the very short but worthwhile break in the action. Go focus on some things around the studio. What about you?
It's kind of a break, but not really a break, because it just keeps on coming. So, I mean, granted, we don't have to go out there and race the car right now, but there's still a lot of preliminary things you have to do for the 2019 season, and that's what we're doing right now.
That is great. Now, I want to make sure my audience is up to speed on what you are doing here, and I think it is a great and positive story that you have been, kind of growing in the sport of NHRA drag racing. But I think it's important that everybody knows exactly who you are and what your connections are in this sport. You are as, authentic NHRA drag racing as it gets. Give your family lineage and connections. Of course, we call you the Greekette because you're the granddaughter of the Greek.
Yep, he's the one that started it all back in the 1950s. I mean, granted, he's been doing it for 60 years, and he's still out there, 80-something years old, still going 330 miles an hour. Then my late father, Bobby Baldwin, he came out there, Southern California, born and raised, and trying to make his mark on the Top Fuel world. And now here I am in A-Fuel, making my way to Top Fuel eventually, but not anytime soon. I also work for someone named Paul Lee, who just announced that he is coming back to racing next year too. I'm the creative director for his company, McLeod Clutches, and yeah, it's all kinds of crazy. That's for sure. I'm connected in a lot of ways.
You are connected. Well, and so I can't imagine, and I want this to be very positive at all, but this is a hard thing to do. This is a very challenging arena to be in. And for you, you've got your grandfather and your father and all of your friends and all of your connections. Like, you grew up around these people. Of course, you want to race, but just wanting to race doesn't mean you're going to be able to race. And so you got together with Anthony DeCero and you went out and you made runs and you got your license and you're kind of going through that process. Was there ever a thought of not racing, of just being involved in the sport in another way? You mentioned you're a creative director, or have you always been driven to drive?
I've been driven to drive for a very long time. I mean, there was a point back in high school because I knew I didn't have it was going to be really hard to get into the driving gig, just knowing that my grandpa didn't want me to drive, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to go? So before that, I was actually taking some classes and in the PR world just to try and just be out here. I mean, I'm still a diehard fan. I love to watch Top Fuel and Funny Cars and Alcohol and Pro Mods and Pro Stock, Pro Box, all those guys. I'm still a fan. I still love watching the racing. So just to be in that's what I wanted to be. And so I went to college for PR and photography, hoping to find something. And then lo and behold, I met Paul Lee, and that's where it all started.
Paul, of course, a great guy, and you mentioned him coming back, and that partnership is going to be great. I'm a Paul Lee fan. Like, I like his style, his attitude, the person that he is, independent of the driving. I think he's like he's a badass. He's a good guy, and to have him come so close to his dream. He's the same as what you just described. He's got a dream. He wants to go out there, and then had a health problem a couple of years ago. I remember we were so hyped on that, and now it's a little delayed. But he is coming back, and that's kind of cool that you're making this big step at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we're both, neither of us thought we were going to own a car, and now both of us are owning a car. It's kind of very surreal. But I mean, I'm so proud to be with Paul, and he's such an inspiration to all. I mean, come back from a Widowmaker heart attack, which was exactly 2 years ago after the PRI show, it happened to him. And from 2 years of practically almost dying to now driving 330 miles an hour down the drag strip. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's just the willpower that he had, and he knew he wanted to do this, and he needed to be around for McLeod and his other companies, and so he had the drive to do it, and so I aspire to be like him.
Oh, that is great. That is great. Great to hear you say that. Now let's talk about making the purchase. Anthony DeCero, who is someone that I want to have on WFO radio at some point, and we've been talking about it, and it just hasn't worked out. And he always says he wishes he was an announcer and not a racer, which he says it, but I deep down don't believe it, because we announcers wish we were racers too. But you went out there and you were part of the Nitro University, and there was a lot going on, and then you bought the car. Tell me about that jump to making a purchase, and why did you feel like that was necessary to advance your career when you had been putting together some, rental ride opportunities up until that point?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been racing with Anthony for 3 years now, and it's been great. I mean, Anthony's taught me a lot. I mean, granted, I knew a lot before I came into Anthony, But now, like actually working on the car, learning how to run a team, learning how the highs and lows in between the weekends are, with the week on the road. I mean, Anthony taught me a lot. And so the partnership is still there. I mean, Anthony's kind of like my second brother, dad, uncle, whatever you want to say. I mean, we hustled really hard the last 3 years to keep our dream rolling, because his dream is to go out there and race. And of course, I love driving. And so just putting us together was a pretty good match. But he recently just accepted a full-time job at Justin Ashley Racing, which is great. I mean, they're going to go out there and try and win a championship. I mean, I was there for the preliminary talks of Anthony and Justin teaming up, and just to see it come into fruition, I mean, this is going to be big. They're going to be one to look out for, because now Anthony has the resources, and everyone knows Anthony. He's the one that knows these cars the most. So they're going to be a threat next year. But you know what? I'm pretty excited to line up next to him just to see his face on the starting line. That's going to be really fun next year.
Oh, it is. Okay, so as far as, you made the purchase, you're buying the equipment, which means, though, you're going to have to, the headaches that come along with it, they're going to be your headaches now. You're going to have to keep the team on the road. You're going to have to bring on some sponsorship. You're going to have to do that. And as far as which races you're going to run, have you nailed those down, some of them at least?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it. Anthony's still going to help me. I mean, he's just not going to be the owner anymore. But, I mean, I have tons of friends out here. I mean, I've been out here all my life, and a lot of people want to help me, which I'm very grateful for. And so just to, first year of ownership it's like, I explain it like you're at the same school, but you're at a different grade now. So now it's a lot different, but you're at the same spot. And so now the goal is to go to 5 races. I figured that was a great stepping stone to get into ownership and really understand, wow, this takes lots of weeks of prep, and I need to remember everything. And I need to remember to take that in the trailer, not to take that in the trailer, make sure the registration's ready. I mean, it's going to be a big step, but it's something to go towards the dream. I mean, we're all living the dream out here. I mean, how great is it that this is our hobby? I mean, I'm completely blessed to be in this sport, but now it's time to step it up. And now I need to be an owner, because I've done most of everything else. And so this is one more to that Top Fuel dream. So,
wow. What does your mom think about this?
Oh, she thinks I'm crazy. But, I mean, she's been around it all her life, too. I mean, she watched my grandpa own his own car for the last 60 years. I mean, she helped my dad when they both owned a Top Fuel dragster when I was a kid. I mean, she's been around it, so she's, of course, going to support me, and she's going to help me any way she can. But she's like, this is your responsibility, so you guys take action, but I will help you.
Yeah, this is
big. But
bigger.
now I'm excited to have her with me.
This is bigger than getting like a pet. This is a big responsibility. All right, now earlier you mentioned, that the Greek initially wasn't into the idea of you running Top Fuel, and I don't. Of course, he is entitled to whatever his opinion happens to be. But now that you have done this, what is his opinion now? Is it evolving? That he's seen your intense desire and willingness to take action to achieve this goal. What does he think now?
Yeah, so it all kind of started. The whole thing to begin with was that I had to finish school before I can drive, which I'm very grateful they gave me that goal to do, because, I mean, school is very important, and I have one of my dream jobs now, working for McLeod, and without that, I couldn't do any of this. So when I first started racing, I kept asking him, like, Grandpa, what are some advice? What can you tell me? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to expect right now. He's like, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go 5 seconds at 280 miles an hour, and you just say you're going to figure it out. I mean, from the second licensing run I did in Indy a couple years ago, I ran a 5:45 at 260, and apparently on the starting line, his mouth dropped because he didn't know I was going to go that fast.
Wow.
So it kind of started changing there. And then now that I announced I'm now the owner of this team, he's definitely on board, like much more than he has in the past. And so that's pretty cool, just to see the evolution of his opinion of me driving the last couple of years, and now he's like, what do you need? What can I help you with? What can I do to help you do this? And I'm like, well, great. Now I have his support fully too. So it's going to be cool. Like, I'm excited to go out there, be an owner with my grandpa. There's one shot that I want, and it's my grandpa telling me to stage the car as he turns the bottle on and walks off. I mean, that's the one shot I want next year. That's going to be the goal.
Wow. Meaning a photograph.
Yep, I just want that picture. I mean, Larry Dixon did it a couple of years ago with his dad. His dad went up there and started turning the air bottle and doing all the switches before he stages the car, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want my grandpa to help me, send me on my way.
Wow. Wow, Krista, that is so nice. You know, that is such a nice, like, I know this is drag racing. It's like tough. You know, this is like a kind of a cool sport, but that is such a nice thing for you to say, you and your grandfather out there. See, I was thinking, you know, it might not be beyond the realm of the possibility to get you guys side by side on the track. You know, I know it's two different categories, but maybe at a test session or in the right spot. Like,
yeah.
wouldn't that be neat?
No, we were talking about it. I mean, there's a lot of regional races that bring in exhibition runs, and I said, Grandpa, we got to do this one time. I got to stage up next to you one time. Like, I have to do it. And so hopefully maybe in the next year, if there's a match race somewhere that's close to Chicago, we can go. But, yeah, that's definitely something we want to do, too.
I love it. I think that is great. And I love his advice to you, which is you'll figure it out. I asked him for advice. He was on WFO one time, and he was great. Like, I could ask him thousands of questions, but I don't want to bother the guy. He's already had like this very rich life. You know, I don't want to be an annoying interview guy. This is the Greek. But I was like, all right, Greek, give us, some advice, impart some knowledge to our audience. Like, how can we be like the Greek and be so successful for so long? And he told us, turn off the TV.
What? Like, seriously, that's him, though. Like, I could just picture him saying that. He does that. But, I mean, eventually, he's, sometimes you get different sides of him. I mean, a lot of people, they come up to me at the races. They're like, man, your grandpa, he's an inspiration. He's my hero. I hope to do half of what he's doing at his age. But it's funny because he's totally different away from the track. But he says the same stuff, like the same kind of advice, but in different lights. Like, if it's not for racing, it's for life in general. But it's the same thing, like, turn off the TV. Like, okay.
Turn off the TV. But it's so good. It's such great advice, though. Like, when the TV is on, less is getting done. Unless it's NHRA drag racing on the TV, which then, okay, that's a different story. But, yeah, no, great advice. Well, Krista, listen, I think it's awesome. I'm happy that you were able to come on this show, our final show of the 2018 season, and give us just another thing to look forward to in 2019. You're obviously very enthusiastic, and that is infectious. Like, we want to see you do well and go as far as you want to go, whatever that happens to be. And the fact that you went out there and made the move instead of waiting for it to happen, that tells me you're going to get there.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's like I said, it's all a stepping stone to get to that dream of Top Fuel. And, I mean, hopefully it comes, but I'm going to keep on working at this until it comes. I mean, I can't just wait around forever. So
that's right. No, that's right. And we got such a great crop, if that's even the word, of young talent and / personalities in the sport in the A-Fuel ranks. You mentioned a couple of them in this interview. Like, I think that is the story that is coming in the sport of NHRA drag racing. We got a wave that is building.
Yeah, I mean, I just posted, I posted on my social media, you got to know where you come from to get where you're going. And I mean, the people that are coming in my class, if you could, I mean, we all are like-minded. We all have the same goal. We all want to do this. And so that's what we're going to try and do. And I'm excited to be a part of this very enthusiastic, young, driven group.
Awesome stuff. Krista, thank you for coming on WFO Radio. I appreciate you contributing to our podcast. Thank you for, you've been cool behind the scenes. I appreciate you coming on the show to share your enthusiasm with our audience. I know they're going to end up being big fans of yours.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you too, Krista. Krista Baldwin with us here on WFO Radio, the Greekette. She's going to be great, taking a big, big leap. And I love it. I love the action step, right? I want to do this. It's challenging. It's hard. This is what I want my life to be. I'm buying a car, and she's going out there to get the job done. The Paul Lee story is fantastic with Jimmo, and they're going to be working it, and just love it. I absolutely love what's going on. And thanks to Krista for coming on the show. Wanted to end the show off looking forward into the future, 2019, with one of the great future personalities of NHRA drag racing. She's going to be a great driver out there. And that does it. Parade of Champions, pretty much everyone but Joey Severance. We're going to save Joey for January. But we've heard from everyone. Alan Reinhart, K-Mac, Matt Smith, Brian McClanahan, Krista coming on this show. But now I want to take a second to tell you about audible.com/WFO Nitro for you audio listeners out there. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. Start your 30-day free trial and do it. Use the login and enjoy. There's all kinds of great content out there. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. If you make it to the tail end of the show, to this part of the show, you must either really love the show, really like what's going on, or be very bored and have a lot of audio time to fill, which either way, I'm cool with it. We are in our 10th year of WFO Radio. We started this when podcasting was not mainstream, was not totally easily accessible like it is, was not a popular thing that there are mainstream television shows about, and there were very few. Bobby Bennett was a big inspiration in that he kept telling me, he's like, nobody thought an online magazine, like a digital magazine news website, would work in drag racing, and he says it to this day. And he says it's going to take a long time, Joe, but if you stick with it, it's going to go. And I knew that the whole time. I spent a career building audiences. You build an audience. An audience isn't just there. You build it. You have to create it. And I can honestly tell you that we started off building this audience from 2 people, 2 to 4 to 8 to 20 to 50 to 100. And every new person, it was a big deal. We did not have the means and methods to grow back then. Explaining what a podcast was, what it did. Now, I was fortunate because I came off the big XM satellite radio gig where people had heard of me and had spent, 5 years listening to the comedic motorsports stylings of the shows we were doing. But we had no way to signal those people. And still, to this day, thousands upon thousands, do not and have not found us. But that's okay because we have built a new audience. Built it from scratch. And I'm proud to say that a lot of people have gone on and started podcasts. They've started podcasts because of the proof of concept. You do the show every week. You build an audience. The people like you. They may or may not like me, but they like the guests. And what's the difference? NBC, CNN, Fox News, WFO, MRN. PRN. You get your content from somebody. What is the content? Is it good? Yeah, it's good. Is it professional and polished? Is it rough and abrasive? Who knows? But that's what's so great about it. It's right there on your mobile device. And there are so many people out there who are still yet to find it. Old school drag racing fans, middle-aged drag racing fans that are like, I'm not going on my device to look for something I'll like. I'd rather just be future illiterate. You got to help those people, folks. You got to help them. You got to help them. The people who had the flip phones, and they're like, I had a conversation with somebody very recently. He showed me his flip phone. I was like, come on, man, you got to get one of these smartphones. It's going to change your life. You're going to be able to do stuff. And that's what it's all about. But most importantly, the building of the audience part of it is very challenging. The Ignition Show, we've been doing the same thing. You've got to entertain. You got to be smart. You got to, not offend. You got to go out there and do something that people want to listen to. But at the same time, NHRA fans have never had anything to listen to. That's the whole point of it all. Coming off the NASCAR radio experience, NASCAR fans in mass listen to this audio content. Why wouldn't NHRA fans? Of course they will. And they did, and they are. And I want to thank NHRA for listening to the shows and inviting me to become one of the national event track announcers in the Mellow Yellow series. This was a great year, 23 events. Loved it. Made so many great friends out there. Got close to, friendly with people. Made friends with people. who are passionate about the same things. But also the listeners at the track, you guys that are, I think there are several that I think about on a regular basis. Guys that, they always say WFO, they're at different races and they come out, 3, 4, 5. I think about guys like Texas Tony, who's been on the show, right? He's out there volunteering. This guy's got a real job. He's got a gig. He makes money. And what does he do? He takes vacation time to come to the NHRA and watch the races and then volunteer and help load the truck. Wow. Loves this thing. So many great people out there. And in this audience, I know there are a lot of people that interact with me and know me. And then there are people who are just, listeners. They just want to hear. They just want to hear the stars of the sport. I really genuinely believe that by listening to this show, you're hearing information that is unique to this show. Either because I have these people on for 40 minutes and they're so annoyed by it that they say something of interest, or they just say something of interest and they put it out on WFO so that the hardcore fan can know it, even if it isn't in all the mainstream places. So thank you to the audience for a great 2018. Thank you for showing up every week. Thank you for helping the show grow, telling your friends. We're starting to get to a point where now we have a really strong audience. And I knew that would happen. It would just take time. Keep doing good stuff. Keep growing. Keep building. The sport is going to ever be changing. Categories are going to be popular and categories are going to wane. Things are going to be interesting. Things are going to be less interesting. Drivers are going to be new and fresh, and drivers are going to get, we'll get used to them. We'll get accustomed to them. They'll go on runs like this year. Look at Tony Schumacher. Such a great year, but we only talked to him a couple times. It's a very interesting group of people, these drag racers. Not just the pros. I say it in the National Dragster columns. People whose hobby is to create new and profound problems for them to solve, to create challenges for themselves to overcome. Could be an engineering challenge, it could be a competitive challenge, but their daily job, they've got that handled. What they really want to do is come out here and create some more problems for themselves to solve, to overcome. Special people, certainly. And the fans of it, this is never going to be the NFL. And I don't mean that in a negative way to the NFL. I'm meaning my radio mentor used to say something along the lines of this. The most popular ice cream in the world is vanilla. But it doesn't mean that vanilla is the best ice cream. And so maybe the sport isn't going to be the kind of sport that gets, millions and millions of people all getting together on one day in January to watch it. But it doesn't have to. If this sport grows by 20%, boy, we'll be into something. So thank you for being a fan. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for being a fan of the WFO podcast. Hopefully you are subscribed on your mobile device. Hopefully you have written a review of the show, because that's very helpful on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can write a review. Download all our mobile apps and do all that. Follow the social media. We will have best ofs between Christmas and New Year's. Great stuff, though. You will hear it and enjoy it. And then we're going to be back out guns blazing in 2019. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes, like Steve, the artist, and Patrick, the webmaster, and Alton, and everyone who helps out with the website. All our virtual producers out there and people who put stuff in the Facebook group and on the Facebook page to keep it interesting and fresh. Want to remind everybody, after the turn of the year, Performance TV on Motor Trend Network, 8:30 Sunday morning Eastern Time. Set your DVR. Go do that right now, please. Right now. Right now. Motor Trend. 8:30 Sunday morning Eastern. Thank you. Kathy Fisher and myself got some really good stuff from PRI and CMA. You're going to love it. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much. Goodbye, 2018. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you so much for being a WFO radio listener. And into the 10th season. The 10th season of WFO Radio. Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas. We'll see you on the other side.
The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.